Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I am Polly, and joining me, as always, is Inquisitor. Quiz, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. I've been working on some models, but this is comic stream, not model stream. So, yes.
So you're going to be distracted the whole stream? Is that what you're saying?
Shut up.
Yeah. What? Fucking hell. All right. And rounding out our triumvirate of awesome, of course, is Jack from Bad Comic Reviews. Link in the description. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am medicated and dazed. Thank you for asking.
Awesome.
It's going to be one of those streams. Buckle in, people.
It will. I take no responsibility or liability for anything I say or do. Expect, what's the word I'm looking for here? A lot of what just happened. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, expect fun in the unconnected thoughts and all kinds of other things. I'm caffeinated and dazed.
That's what Jack and I are here for, is to connect those dots.
Cool. So we got a chat that's salty today for some reason. I was reading. God, so
come on, guys! It's just expected at this point. It's poly time.
Yeah, starting an hour and a half late. I mean, come on, people. What do you expect? Timeliness? What is this? A job?
Mr. Dax says, yes, you should expect racial epithets. Yeah, that's it. Random racism for no good reason. That's the well, hey, that did happen to Roseanne, right? She blamed her random racism on, what was her sedative medication?
Ambien.
Yes, caused her to be racist late at night for some reason.
I love how Ambien actually came out and put out a statement saying our medications do not make you racist.
Exactly.
Oh, what if there was a medication like that, but it fixed whatever your problems were, but it made you blazingly Tourette's level racist? Would you take it?
I would say that most of the social justice advocates, especially Black social justice advocates, especially lately on Twitter, have been taking that medication. Just saying.
Well, there was a medication that came out. I mean, this isn't comics related, but whatever, man. We're on the subject.
Yeah.
There was a medication came out a while ago, and they list all the potential side effects on it, and it was to reduce restless leg syndrome. But one of the side effects is that it increased compulsive behaviors. If you already had a tendency towards compulsive behavior. So in the commercial, it's like, it shows somebody who's living a free life now, right? Like they're cooking dinner and they're hanging out with their family and they're going for a bike ride because
going on a barbecue.
Right, because they're no longer suffering by only sleeping half an hour because of their restless leg syndrome was ruining their sleep, thus their waking hours, So it's all bright and happy, and then all of a sudden you hear that monstrous voice come on and say, such and such medication will cause all sorts of side effects, including, heart palpitations, dry throat, headaches, nausea, and a possible increase in tendency towards gambling. And I was like, what?
I'll bet you it won't.
It did say, in all honesty, gambling and other compulsive behaviors. And so if you think about it for a second, okay, I get it. It makes sense. But it's like, let me see. Here are my options. It's either restless leg syndrome or losing my kid's college fund at the blackjack table.
Yeah, but you're sleeping great. And that bike ride takes you right to the casino. And on the way in, you flick the light switch 4 times to make sure that Charlie doesn't die. And then you go right to your favorite machine and gamble it all away.
Well, see, that's the thing. I've got to, forgive my ignorance, but isn't restless leg syndrome a symptom of some sort of neurological disorder? Some sort of...
No. Not necessarily. Like, man, I know a few people that suffer from restless leg syndrome, and it sounds funny until you hear them talk about it, and then it's like, oh, like you just cannot stop your legs from moving, like restlessly. It's like and it's often associated with what a deficiency of magnesium. I'm gonna say I'd have to go look that up. That's often part of it, is some mineral deficiency.
Centrum silver. Why do you need some fucking...
that is one of the things, but it's not always the helpful. Yeah. So now that we're really on topic, I'm assuming that some comic book character at some time had restless leg syndrome and a gambling problem. So yeah, it's comic book related, right?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I'm fairly certain that there's some old comic book creators that had gambling problems.
Hey, the X-Men fight the wage gap. Why not restless leg syndrome too?
and you want to talk about compulsive gambling? Let's talk about publishing comics over and over again in hopes that a phantom audience is going to come out and buy them. Comic pros know about gambling, yo.
Yeah, right. Well, Marvel knows about gambling.
Well, I know about gambling because every time I go to the comic shop to buy some comics, I'm probably going to end up buying some crap.
You know, it's hard to. It's like, yes, that's right, Polly, says the gayest person on YouTube, and it's like, it's hard to accept backing from somebody who named themselves that. It's like the gayest person on YouTube backs me up.
Yeah, I voted for, so obviously they win.
Yeah, I mean, it's I got no problem with the gayest person on YouTube. It's just to say it as a sentence sounds funny.
No, if your username is the gayest person on YouTube, you need to have a gold medal with a big number 1 on it because you're a winner and you deserve to honor your title with a medal.
So getting back to comics, though.
Comics, though.
Yeah, comics, though. We'll take a quick look at,
yeah. What if this? Ryan makes a good point. Speaking of what we were talking about, do speedsters have restless leg syndrome? Because if you're the Flash and you have restless leg syndrome, your bed's going to catch on fire.
Well, not only that, if you're the Flash and you have restless leg syndrome, you may like wake up in a different time period.
That's a good point. And that's how Flashpoint really happened.
Yes. It wasn't because he cared about his mom and wanted to go back in time and stop her murder. No, restless leg syndrome.
Like if you're a speedster and you have, sleepwalking, I mean, that could be absolutely disastrous, like for all life on Earth. People run from things in their dreams. Those people run from something in their dream. They got a problem.
That's why I won't want to be Lois Lane ever, because Superman has a nightmare. Your face is getting melted off.
Yeah, right.
And Functional says comics, only nerds care about comics. You're in the wrong stream, my friend. Let me tell you. Come on, it's a good time. Comics are a wonderful pastime and interest in lore fest. But let's take a look at this week's thumbnail.
I was gonna say here's one really quick thing I got to bring up though. Speaking of speedsters and that sort of thing, remember that time that the Flash was in Marvel Comics? Unironically?
No.
Was
it a Marvel DC crossover event?
No, this was unironically a whole thing. Do you guys not know about this?
I've heard about it. I can't tell you though, because it's like fucking 11:45 at night.
Yeah, it was in Quasar. There was a character. It was what happened is in DC they had Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Barry died. He became one with the Speed Force and disappeared. He was dead, right? And then miraculously in Quasar, a guy wearing a tattered red suit with a gold lightning bolt across his belt and gold boots and long blonde hair and a blonde beard miraculously appears with the ability of super speed, and all he could remember was his name began with a B and an A, so he called himself Buried Alien instead of Barry Allen.
That's not how you spell buried, though.
I know, but yeah, the Marvel character Buried Alien, look it up.
What the fuck year was this in?
That was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Here, hold on. I can bring up some images here. Buried Alien. Here, this is the first appearance of Buried Alien. And tell me that ain't the Flash.
That ain't the Flash.
Okay, you're wrong, but you know.
You told me to tell you that it wasn't the Flash.
Okay.
Yeah. This is Buried Alien in Marvel.
So
he was an amnesiac speedster from another universe. Oh, that's how you explain it, Marvel. Okay. Yeah, his first appearance was in 1994. Or sorry, 1990.
Why even do that?
Because DC killed him off. So Marvel, went and said, we're gonna use Barry Allen.
Okay. Just inside joke amongst comic creators, I guess. I don't.
They had to write him out in only 4 issues, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, in any case, like I said, back to the thumbnail.
Yeah,
and that's Quiz's main squeeze there from the DC universe.
Oh yeah, I love me some Black Canary.
I only put her in because I was rereading whatchamacallit, the All-Star Batman and Robin again.
Oh my god, that it.
What? I was trying to find the issue where the Joker appears for the first time out of the 13 issue run of that.
That is such a bad comic.
Whatever. The point is that Black Canary appeared in there, and of course Jim Lee draws her all super sexy, and I thought, I think I'm going to put Black Canary in the thumbnail this week, but I'm not the big Black Canary fan. You are, so
I'm not
any thoughts on that? Leave All-Star Batman alone.
No, I'm not going to. That is a terrible comic.
No, it's fine.
It is
misunderstood.
No, it's not misunderstood. Everyone understands. What are you, dense? You retarded or something? Do you know who I am? I'm the goddamn Batman. It's a meme for a reason because it's so bad.
He is the goddamn Batman. What are you going to tell him he's not?
Do I need to bring up my goddamn Batman folder? It's almost as big as my unsolicited opinions on Israel folder, Polly.
No, that's not listen. Unsolicited opinions on Israel was everything it was. I'm the goddamn Batman, just developed legs of its own for whatever reason. So what? He's telling off a dense retarded kid that he's dense and retarded. Kids need to be called out when they're being dense and retarded. Was he so wrong?
His parents had just died.
Why don't you have a bigger problem with him suggesting that he should be eating rats from the Batcave?
Well, he did make him eat rats from the Batcave.
No, that's never shown. He suggested that he should.
Oh yeah, because we only see the tattered remains of rats in the Batcave, and yeah.
No, the bats had taken them out. Alfred brought him a cheeseburger. He never ate no rat. You didn't read the lengths
you're going to excuse the things in this horrible comic, Polly.
Alfred did bring him a cheeseburger. It happens in the story.
Hang on. I got Streamlabs here from the gayest person on YouTube. Thank you very much. It says, sorry, my username doesn't lend any credibility. Would it be helpful if I put MD after it?
Yes. I think the gayest person on YouTube, MD, the Dr. Gayest person on YouTube.
No, I think it should be Dr. Gayest person on YouTube, Esquire.
Yes.
I'm in favor of this.
Esquire. I mean, you have an awesome title already, dude. Right? Whatever you want to add to it is just going to be like frilly lace around the borders. So you do you. We respect you as the gayest person on YouTube.
We fully support the either Esquire or MD. What else would be nice? Maybe just a whole series of post-nominals afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Like BA, MSc with honors. Just go nuts, man. We'll support you.
Lord, the gayest person on YouTube.
So any thoughts on Black Canary, Quiz, before I take down the
she's awesome. The comic I'm pitching tonight does not feature her, but the character is actually revitalized in Green Arrow in New 52 from his first iteration. So there's that, and she's been a huge part of the Green Arrow comic, while also being part of Gotham City Sirens. No, not Gotham City Sirens.
Bombshells?
No, the other one. Shit.
Oh no.
It's Batgirl, Huntress, and Black Canary.
Birds of Prey?
Birds of Prey. That's it.
Well,
Birds of Prey is going to be it's not the next. The next one is what? Wonder Woman 84? For the DC comic or DC movies? Yep. Yeah, I think after that is going to be the Birds of Prey one.
Probably.
They've been talking about it on like the Twatters and stuff.
Well, as far as this image goes, I like it. Although I am concerned that while the artist did a fantastic job of framing this and putting the positioning accurately,
Mhm.
just for purposes of not getting a copyright strike. I do believe that's probably a front wedgie she's giving herself right there. What do they call that when it gets right up in the muff curtains there? And
Camel toe.
no, the front wedgie.
The front wedgie.
Yeah, because the wedgie is something going up your ass crack. What do they call it when it goes between your lips?
A camel toe.
Yeah.
No, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like
it
that.
spreads the labian lips to make it look like a camel's
No,
toe.
that's usually sexy. Camel toes are normally reserved for being sexy. This looks more uncomfortable. Like,
If you will look towards our brilliant chat, awesome as they are, you will see that they are telling you it's a camel toe.
well, I understand that. A moose knuckle. Yeah.
No, Moose Knuckle's a
fat
dude.
woman. No, Moose Knuckle's an extremely
Oh,
fat
fat
woman with
woman?
a front
Oh.
gunt.
No, I thought a moose knuckle was when you get guys like what's his name wearing onesie thongs
It's a
or
Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin. That's the old term for it. Muff cuff. I do like that one. I'm going to steal that. Thanks, PG. But yeah, it just looks really uncomfortable up front. Like maybe there's not enough
Jesus
breathing room.
we are way to fuck off topic.
Frosted Glass appears not to be familiar with the term fupa. That's the fat upper pussy area. It's that weird bump they get under the gut, but above the actual vaginal region.
Well, guys can get a fupa too, because
Yeah.
like when you get fat enough to have a paunch, the folds kind of like right up to the belly button kind of separate to make it look like I don't ever call it a fupa, I call it a gunt.
Yes, that's the other popular term. I like
Yeah.
fupa because it sounds very technical. Like, I punched her right in the fupa, you know, or, oh man, look at the fupa foundation on that chick. Wait till she pops a kid out. That thing's going crazy.
Okay.
There's gunt sounds very derogatory. Oh, I'm
No.
sorry, Polly. Are we
Yeah.
moving on to something?
We are moving on to something else indeed.
What kind of comic book characters have a fupa or a gunt?
Faith.
Well, Faith does, yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jack.
The Blob.
The Blob has a gun.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, sorry, Frosted. I misunderstood what your question mark there. Just thought I'd share. Apparently,
I was fucking around online and I came across this article that's actually pretty old, from 2015, but that's the entire point here. This is from the BBC. And I love this so much. From 2015, right? Marvel's female Thor comic outsells the male version. And this is in the Newsbeat entertainment section. Now, you know, people that have come by Comic Book Curation, you, Jack, and Quiz, of course, know that I beat this drum incessantly about the only time that you get, you know, New York Times or Hollywood Reporter or BBC in this case talking about comic books is when there's a first, right? Because that makes it newsworthy. Or when something progressive happens, because this is their mindset. It's like, what is it that makes something newsworthy? Well, because they're progressive in their mindset, anything that's progressive automatically becomes newsworthy, right? So this article kills me in the way that it's written. Is now telling the original male title when Marvel introduced the newly rebooted series last October. Some fans were bothered that Thor was reinvented as a woman. That's not actually what happened, and that's what kills me. The mantle of Thor, there was kind of retconned that Odin's son had always possessed the mantle of Thor, including the power of the hammer and the station of the thunder god, and that station, that mantle of Thor, was passed on to a woman. So it's like, was she really reinvented, or was he really invented as a her? No, because this so-called journalist didn't read the comic at all and has no idea. It's just the women's, and therefore is writing on it, right?
Well, the one thing that immediately I thought of when hearing that was, you know, the female version of Thor is now outselling the male version of Thor. You mean the male version of Thor that was a 4-issue limited series and didn't last very long? And
well, we'll get there. But now sales figures issued by Comicron show that the new character is outselling. Come on, the older male Thor comics. The first four female books sold close to 20,000 copies, more than the last 4 issues of Thor in 2012. Now, keep in mind, this article is from 2015 when that original reinvention happened. And then from 2012, that's kind of like how long it had been going on. The sales show the female edition of the Norse Gods 6th in the list, circulation reaching more than 93,000 copies. Amazing Spider-Man, All New Captain America, and Batman take the top 3 spots. The audience breakdown is not available, so there is no way to know if Thor is bringing in more female readers. But you suggested it, so good enough. Place it in the mind of the readers. See, the women's. Now, what you do have, and notice this right off to the side, we're also going to suggest for you Wonder Woman for Women's Day and the man behind Marvel's Black Panther. When do comic book stories make it? When they're progressive. See a pattern forming? Now, the new Thor also premiered with high numbers compared to the premiere of Thor, the God of Thunder, selling 152,000 in October 2014. Thor number 8 is due out in May, with writers promising that the female Thor's identity will be revealed. Of course, it was later, and this is an older article. Let's just talk about what makes no sense about this. Quiz, you already brought up one thing, right? You're comparing it to a series that had lasted for a long time, the Thor series that they're comparing to the last issues of the previous male one. And I know you guys can't see it, but the sales that they pulled from Comicron, you know what? Here's the male Thor, and here's the female Thor, right? You know what they labeled them? What's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What they labeled them at the bottom, and you can tell sort of a lot of things from this. It's really small, but it says Dude Thor comic books, feminist Thor comic books.
I was thinking it was going to be patriarchy Thor and menstrual Thor.
It might as well have been.
She's in red.
Dude Thor versus feminist Thor. And it's like number 1 outsold it. Yeah, because it was the first new one in a long time, and number 1s outsell constantly other ones. And if you were a journalist that was worth that title, you would have done a little bit of research to see that that's the case. And did they write an article that this concept failed miserably, went nowhere, the series was canceled, and Odin's son has the mantle back now? Do you think they wrote an article about that?
No. Well, they might have written about how the patriarchy is reclaiming their Thor.
Well, yeah, that would have been over patriarchal backlash. Thor is being, backtracked to the 50s and blah, 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 blah. But this is what kills me. It's like, we're going to write on it temporarily, get in and get out. Well, we can make a quick point that's disingenuous as fuck. And when I say disingenuous, it's like you're writing about it, not because of anything to do with comics, just because of yay, the whammons, number 1. And you didn't stay around long enough or do enough research to see that those numbers don't really indicate what you think they're indicating. And this whole concept failed miserably, not for the majority of readership, which it did, but it failed miserably in terms of the sales that you are trumpeting as proof that it works.
Yeah.
I vote we adopt Ryan Walters' nickname for her and call her Horror Thor.
Well, that's a little harsh.
Wouldn't it be Thor Whoreson?
So minor point, but one that just like, how many articles can you go back? And we should almost do that as like a separate edited video quiz of let's go back and do a quick rerun of all of the not minor garbage tier publications, but Hollywood Reporter, New York Times, Washington Post that wrote about how incredibly progressive America Chavez was when it premiered.
I want to see if any of them cover when 4chan trolled them.
Right? And how it lasted a whopping 12 fucking issues. That's it. And and there's great excitement, and this is wonderful, and it's finally representative and inclusive. And the Phantom audience did not show up, because by the time issue 12 rolled around, it was moving 4,000 copies according to Comicron. Like, just brutal sales figures by that point.
That's just what's shipped to stores too, not even what's going out the door.
Exactly. Those are shipment figures, and no idea of how many people actually bought them and what ended up as padding in the bottom of bird cages or fireplace kindling.
I love it because like I keep on thinking for all of those, it would be hilarious to see all of those sorts of articles and see, where they, I love it whenever they say it's a, runaway success. It's so good. It sold so many copies and stuff like that. when the opposite is true, or like you're going by current metrics, which even 10 years ago would have put it on the line for cancellation immediately upon first issue release. Like I'm looking right here at a CNN article. America Chavez is America's lesbian Latina superhero.
Yeah. And it's like we said before, when your identity becomes your superpower, so to speak. I mean, who is she? What is she? What are her powers? In all the articles that we went over, like back in the day when we were looking at it, none of them even mention it. The headlines are just gay, Latina, first, etc. You know, that is not inclusive. That is trumpeting for a given purpose. And when you're involved in it, Washington Post, New York Times, and so on, like, how do you convince your editor, like, okay, I've written up this article, and you go to your editor and say, this is an article that I wrote up. Well, what is it? Well, it's the first gay Latina superhero. Oh, really? As opposed to, I don't know, something else we'll be covering this week. Marvel's rebooting all the X-Men, and I wrote up an article about it. Your editor is going to look at you and go, who the fuck cares?
Yeah. Whereas if it's the first female lesbian, blah, 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 it's, yeah.
It's like, because who the fuck cares is like, wait a minute. Like, seriously, who the fuck cares? Is this like our X-Men on the New York Times bestseller list? The weekly or the monthly issues? No. Then nobody cares about comics. Who gives a fuck about comics? Oh, well, I've got this other one about a first gay Latina superhero. Oh, comics are awesome. Here, let's publish it. Like, see? They become cultural touchstones and things of importance when they're being used as a mouthpiece for a given issue. And yeah, I beat that drum, but Christ, that message in my mind hasn't gotten through because people still write about it and read about it. Not anyone's going to listen on my little microscopic channel here and us bitching about it, but fuck, come on. It's not obvious yet. All right. Bugs me. All right. Let's talk about something that doesn't involve politics for a quick minute.
I just wonder what's going to happen when they run out of firsts.
They won't. Remember that when I was telling you about that documentary I was watching, and it was about a female agent that went undercover, and she was sitting on stage discussing her role like 20, 25 years on, right, as part of a panel. Mm-hmm. And they actually listed her on the screen as the 76th woman to be assigned status as a special agent in the FBI.
But she was the first one to be the 76th woman.
Right. And I was like, but this is a woman.
76th.
This is a woman, a person of incredible achievement and a long-standing career. She went undercover. She did all these great things. It resulted in prosecutions, and she's got fascinating stories to tell. And that's how you list her, as the 76th woman to achieve special agent status.
Well, and then you get the first of each of the like 85 genders or whatever. And
so what are they going to do when they run out of first quiz? My response to that would be, I hear you. It's an interesting question, but when I saw that documentary, I realized they'll never run out of first, because the thing that makes them talk about first is the progressive, liberal, guilty mindset of, we need to point out all of these achievements that we are progressing. That's the impetus for doing it to begin with. So as long as that is there, they never will run out of first. They'll just keep listing them.
We get the first woke, trans-abled lesbian that can see through dank memes.
I just wonder why that even matters at all. I mean, to me, it smacks of tokenism.
Well, yeah, of course.
You mean because it is?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't just smack of it, man. It is it. Like, it's hard to explain some of the listings of people that are of incredible repute and accomplishment as the 76th of a thing. Like, that comes before all of their actual substantial accomplishments. I mean, fucking hell. It's at that point, it becomes just condescending. You know what I mean?
I would feel really insulted if I were that woman being called the 76th fucking special agent. I'd just be like, just call me special agent. You don't need to sit there and put me in rank. Look at my accomplishments. Fuck you.
A good example of that, and it's kind of like outside comics, but the CI director nominated by Donald Trump was Gina Haspel. she's a brilliant woman with an incredible career behind her. Former director of the Directorate of Operations, not an easy task for anybody to do. And she was the first female director of CIA. That's all anybody talked about. They didn't talk about her career accomplishments and rarely ever mentioned the fact that she was DDO, director of the Directorate of Operations. I mean, that, like, most people can't handle that job for very long. She handled it for years. And it's a great example of, like, talk about what makes her great, because it ain't her genitals. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, fuck. But there must be something wrong with her, because Donald Trump nominated her, was really part of the discussion. You know? But again, I said, get away from politics. Yeah. Drumpf, am I right? Rumor: Captain America could appear in the Loki series without Chris Evans. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I know. I'm actually curious about this. Let's see. I haven't read this article, so let's see what it says.
Oh, wait, is this the Loki? Is that the TV show that they're going to be doing about Loki?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I gathered off of the first couple of sentences that I read here in the title. Oh yeah, by the way, we talked last week about how Bounding into Comics got struck down, and it was just like right before we went live that they were put back up. Their fan page on Facebook was put back up, and that's great fucking news. Fantastic to hear. I was happy to hear it, but ultimately not satisfied with that, because the truth is they were struck down for unclear reasons, and the page was put back up for unclear reasons.
No, I know why they put it back up, because we were about to go live and break the story wide open. And they fear the poly.
They fear comic book curation.
Yep.
Dude,
they're like,
I would legitimately kill to have Facebook fear me. Just saying.
Are you sure? I don't think you'd want Facebook putting too much of a focus on you, right? Like, it's, you know, they strike down somebody and they become, like, you know, persona non grata globally at that point.
Why should I care? I don't have a Facebook. Never have and never will.
I hear you. Neither do I. You know, I asked my friend something the other day, just as a little side note. We were talking about this, and I said, "You're on Facebook. This is how ignorant I am of the whole situation over there. Can you do, like, credit card money type things on Facebook? Is that a thing?" And she was like, "Yeah, what are you talking about? All over the place. There's all sorts of transactions you can do on Facebook." And I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. Facebook is, like, full of holes like Swiss cheese in terms of security and mining your personal data and so forth. And people are doing mounds of financial transactions through there as well. What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Why would you ever trust that heap of fucking Mountain View, California, Silicon Valley fuckery with your credit card numbers? Holy shit.
I personally think the reason why people do that is because of convenience sake, and they don't care about the security risks.
Plus, people are dumb.
Like, not as many people are going to be conscientious of that sort of thing as, like, someone like we are. And to, you know, give over that kind of information is just an example of someone being that careless. But that's what people are. They're absolutely careless when it comes to that sort of information, because they don't think that Facebook has anything to hide or to gain from, you know, misusing that information or whatever. There's any myriad of reasons why they implicitly trust Facebook. And
that's because they're dumb.
I mean, I could actually understand somebody, like, you're going on Amazon, you're obviously trusting them with your credit card. And someone could say, "Well, what about online transactions? Don't you do online banking? You buy comics from Comixology. You're using your credit card number, etc." Facebook just seems wildly different to me. Like, they are just, there's the breaches, the mining of your data, the selling of your data, the monetization of your information and returning it to you. And you're doing transactions through these people. Are you trying to tell me there aren't enough options online that somebody like myself was ignorant of the fact that you could even do transactions on Facebook? You don't have enough other options that you need to do it through them. Fuck Zuckerberg and his little nightmarish Orwellian empire.
I agree. But, you know, people, if that were the popular opinion, Facebook would cease to exist. And since it doesn't, I think that we're in the vast minority, Polly.
Yeah.
And I've come to accept that as much as accepting the fact that I will never ever have a Facebook. I mean, I could sit up here and get on my soapbox about Facebook for a really long time. You know, side story, not related to comic books at all. I actually had jury duty last year. Yeah, I think it was last year, sometime last year. And while they were going through the winnowing process of selecting jurors, the case was for a stalking and sort of thing. But one of the things that they kept on, both the defense and the prosecution kept on bringing up, was if this case had something to do with Facebook, would you have any problems with that? And I never got to like sit up on the panel and actually give my opinion on it, because I would have used that jury box as a soapbox.
Oh, the stenographer would hate you. I could sense it.
Oh,
already.
yes, they would.
All right, so let's find out what's going on with non-Chris Evans Cap here. I'm actually curious what's going on with this Thor Loki series. It might be one of the few series that I actually tune into. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. A rumor indicates that Captain America could appear in the upcoming Loki Disney Plus series without Chris Evans. The Loki series will see Tom Hiddleston reprise his role as the Asgardian trickster following the events of Avengers Endgame. And he's supposed to be dead.
I was gonna say, didn't he die in the
spoilers?
Yeah, well, he died in Infinity War.
Yeah,
by Thanos' hand, but not via Thanos' snap. So it begs the question: when the snap was undone, did that bring back people that had been killed by Thanos?
Did they actually
just by Thanos' hand?
Can we talk about
power?
Endgame yet?
Did they actually
undo
the events of Infinity War? Because that's lame.
The dead people, yes.
Well, Loki also escaped, remember? In Infinity War or in Endgame.
What? How? What? When?
What? Seriously? The Tesseract thing?
What about it? No, go on. I'm not following you here. Like, did I miss something? Like, go ahead.
Yeah, didn't you see the whole thing? Like when Tony Stark screwed up in the lobby? Am I the only one that saw this movie?
Oh, okay. No, I see what you're saying. He did escape. You're right. Okay, but that was back
because it ruins the end of the first Avengers movie.
So it was a doppelganger that Loki had the whole time that was doing the other things? Because he did escape. You're right. Now I remember that, but that was back in the day, so it does create a loophole.
That was not in the original Avengers movie, though. That sequence.
Right. No, you're right. I heard.
What ganger?
What?
A what ganger, Polly?
Go to hell. Just go like that. Doppel, fuck quiz a ganger.
Anyway,
how about that?
Anyway, that was the lead-in for the TV series.
You think that I didn't even clue into it? That might be a lead-in for the TV series. That's interesting. Yeah, or like this is Kyle says, a different timeline Loki, maybe. I don't know. So, anywho, let's just see the Loki series. We'll see Tom Hiddleston reprise his role as the Asgardian trickster following the events of Avengers Endgame, when he escaped, as Jack so angrily pointed out to us. When the Avengers tried to capture the Tesseract during the Battle of New York in Avengers 2012, Loki comes into possession of the Tesseract and teleports away, as Jack angrily pointed out to us. The rumor comes from Cosmic Book News, based in an interview with the Russo brothers.
Hang on, I got Streamlabs here. Thanks, Mike. Mike Parlett. It's $20 for Polyderp, Quizzer, and Bad Comic Man. Thanks for the fun times. Thanks, sir. I will spread the wealth when these guys get around to making their Streamlabs.
Quizzer Man, I like it.
Wow, I got my first Streamlabs.
Without even having a Streamlabs.
This is technically your second, because I owe you $10 from Jenna P.
Oh.
And
well, thank you.
I'm making the damn Streamlabs, will you?
Fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna do it right now. Come on, all right. You know,
I'm trying. I'm trying to do some things, and certain people are taking a long time to get back to me. You know who you are, and I'm waiting impatiently.
Anyway,
wait, who? What?
Don't confuse the topic. Polly's high. Read the damn article.
Yeah, we need to start staying on topic Now,
What's this wee shit? You're the one drifting off into randomness.
the Russo brothers were asked if there was a past Loki out there. Joe Russo responded, quote, the internet was that the internet. The intent was that he was going to correct the past timelines at the point the stones left. Loki, when he teleports away with the time stone, would create his own timeline. It gets very complicated, but it would be impossible for Cap to rectify the timeline unless he found Loki. The minute that Loki did something as dramatic as take the space stone, he creates a branched reality. Anthony Russo added, we're dealing with the idea of multiverses and branched realities, so there's many realities. Well, there you go. This is Kyle. Looks like he's right. It's a different timeline. The idea that Captain America could be hunting down Loki in order to get the Tesseract back and return it to S.H.I.E.L.D. agents so that Thor could take it back to Asgard. Not to mention, Captain America has to return the hammer as well. I'm not giving Quiz the opportunity to tell me off for mispronouncing something. However, it might not just be the Prime Universe Captain America hunting down Loki. It's also possible that another alternate reality Captain America could be hunting down Loki as well. This could give Marvel Studios the opportunity to introduce a new Captain America actor. Ooh, could this be the reason why everybody's rumoring around online about Peggy Carter in her 1943 Captain America getup and looking hot and cool? Maybe it's Peggy Carter running around the multiverse trying to get it back.
Could be, or this could be the ideal chance to bring in the Hitler puncher herself, America Chavez.
Yes. The Hitler punch appropriator is the yes.
I don't think you get exactly how much I want an America Chavez movie, Polly.
I find it horrifying that you want this to happen.
I do. I keep on saying, some men just want to watch the world burn. I want to watch the MCU burn.
You know what I want to happen? If it happens, I want it to become like Elektra, where it's like Jennifer Garner, I love you to death. You looked hot as hell as Elektra, like smoking woman. And I think Ben Affleck done you wrong in a real bad way. Fuck you, Affleck. But that movie was terrible. It was really. I downloaded the director's cut from perfectly legitimate sources, hoping that it would be better, you know. And
no.
Pop-Tarts Man, I forget Pop-Tarts Man's name.
Jason Momoa?
No, her actual real life husband.
Chris, right?
Chris, thank you. Chris said, no, I've seen it. It doesn't make it any better. He yelled in the background. Like, no, it's still awful. But I remained hopeful because I just think Jennifer Garner's so damn hot. But yeah, no dice, man. It was. Even the director's cut, restoring a bunch of footage, re-editing a bunch of scenes and resequencing some stuff. I guess you could argue it helped, but in my mind, all it did was produce a different but equally poor film.
Yeah,
you know,
she was too pretty to play that girl, to play Elektra, and she had to train that ugly kid. I don't care about that at all. It was one of the worst movies I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah. And it's, you know, the first female superhero film. No, not by a long shot. You just don't want to talk about, you know, some of the ones that came prior, right? In any case, it's interesting that we brought up Elektra because she's going to come up again later on in the show. But in fact, Joe Russo and
comic. Oh, I get it.
No, it's another story. Look at the tabs up top. You'll see it. Fuck. Oh. Anyway, in fact, Joe Russo and Anthony Russo indicate that Captain America, who hands his shield to Sam Wilson, is actually Captain America from a different reality. Really?
Okay.
No.
Sorry, my neurons are just firing now. That's interesting.
It's the only way that actually made any fucking sense.
Because for as many people who complained about that, so you got Steve Rogers going back in time, and he gets his relationship with Peggy Carter, and you got like the what?
What Jim Heel is posting on Twitter.
Do I want to go look? I got a feeling I want to go look. All right, let's see.
Finally, the power was yours. Half of America will be wiped out. AOC, thanks to the inclusivity gauntlet.
That makes me sad. Is that from the new comic? Because I haven't picked up the books yet.
Holy shit, that's bizarrely ethno-statey and eugenicist. It's weird. Holy fuck, Jim. Okay, hold on. I want to think about this because, you know, people like Randy Monkey and a bunch of others had a real problem with the way that the story ended. With
Yeah, I
the way
hated that
Cap,
sequence.
I didn't, but
I understand why people like to, if you regard it as the end of the entire MCU, which I do. And I get it from that perspective on an intellectual level. But from a super fanboy perspective, that little part of me that still has hope for the future, you know, it shrinks every day. I hated it. I thought it was so out of character and it was just total trash. So yeah, I don't know. I think if they do this Loki series right with the new Captain America actor, it could be good. And it's just Captain America hunting down Loki. Yeah, I'd buy that.
yeah.
See,
So that's
I don't know.
They won't, but you know,
There's the I think the major reason why, I mean, it's kind of coming as a realization now about this. The reason, I guess, why I don't like the MCU stuff, and the reason why I'm perfectly fine with watching it burn with an America Chavez movie, is because the mediocrity with which some of the movies had fallen into with some of the less than good sequels. Like, you know, Polly keeps on saying his favorite movie is Captain America: First Avenger. While I absolutely love that movie, I have not seen the sequel. I've heard the sequel is good, but that is the only sequel I've heard is good. Thor, which is my favorite, has a disappointing, forgettable sequel. Avengers, fucking Age of Ultron was terrible. It was such a bad movie. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, bad. So I've just given up because all of the sequels were massive letdowns. And I'm not going to go and see a third movie if I didn't like the second.
A lot of, well, you can find the aberration then, because I like Captain America: The First Avenger for the reasons that I've outlined a bunch of times. But you know, holy shit, The Winter Soldier is just explosively good. It is one of the best MCU films, and I don't argue with people when they say it's better than the first Avenger. If you think so, I can understand why. I disagree, but I'm not going to argue with you. It's so good. Like, yeah, like, and it actually does take off where the last one leaves. Like, here's Captain America freshly woken up to the new world, if you know what I mean. He's still getting accustomed to living in the future for him. And it is a sequel. It is a true sequel in that way. It's not just another Cap story that doesn't relate to everything else that's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I say that's the reason why I kind of liked Iron Man 3 infinitely more than Iron Man 2, other than the fact that Iron Man 2 was a boring snooze fest. Iron Man 3 actually had something to do with a previous movie, which was Avengers.
All right. So let's just finish off this article here. Speaking of sequels.
Really? We're doing the article still?
Well, I'm trying to.
I'm sorry, it came as a revelation.
Yeah, then this came as a thought provoker. It's like, correct, he would have come back to this timeline in order to hand off the shield, meaning a different Cap from a different timeline. So it's not Cap proper. So what the hell's going on there? Anthony Russo adds, there's a question of how did this separate timeline Cap come to reappear in the timeline he shouldn't have come back to, and why indeed? Maybe it's that he didn't give up and it wasn't out of character. He got stuck in time. Who knows?
Maybe it wasn't Cap, but it was fucking Loki.
It could have been Loki. Yes.
Much better ending. I could have wrote this movie ending way better. Written. Shut up.
The idea.
There's no words.
The idea is, I'm just going to go ahead here. The idea further complicated by the most recent Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, where it indicates that Mysterio is from a different Earth. And there is no Spider-Man on his Earth. That can mean there are a number of different realities without the Avengers. In fact, Captain America might look radically different in a number of these realities if he even exists. Diversity! What can you make of this rumor? Blah, blah, blah. Is Captain America introduced a new Captain America so soon? I don't care. Just make it good. That's just, I'm okay with that.
I don't know. One of the reasons why I think I've fallen so far away from Marvel too is outside of the X-Men, I find a lot of the villains are just really lame from Marvel.
Oh, like what, the Leaper? Really?
The evil Leaper from Quantum Leap?
No. He's a Captain America villain. He was in the second movie.
Right. Okay, I know you're talking about.
Batrog or something like that. I can't fucking think of his name right now. Man, I'm old.
I'm just saying, man. That's one of the major reasons I could never get into the Avengers. I found a lot of their villains are just lame.
Stop it, Jack Gunsky. There is no Captain Gwen America.
You have no evidence of that.
Well, I mean, here, let me go and look it up, see if there is.
No, I was talking to Polly. Yeah, Batroc. Thank you.
Yeah, I can't think of a villain in the Avengers that has as much gravitas and character, dare I say, than Magneto.
Oh, really? Egghead does not do it for you?
MODOK?
What about Stiltman?
Like,
well, we're still talking about Captain America. Hold on. MODOK.
MODOK was awesome. He's a giant big head with a little baby body.
He's
got little tiny legs.
Diaper.
He doesn't need it. He's got that floaty chair that gets him around.
Yeah, with a jet that comes out his ass.
It's got a built-in bidet.
All right. Well, we're still on the subject of Captain America, just for fun.
Why do you do this to me, Polly?
I mean, chat, for those of you who don't know, that's not Captain America.
It's the fighting American. Duh.
It's so bad. He's got this. You know what kills me the most about his?
No.
What?
Polly, you're not gonna like me.
What?
Hang on. Well, there's the train.
Train's coming. That's not a good sign.
Was there a reason to yell at me like that when you don't even?
Polly. Yes.
Oh, why did you bring this up?
Captain Gwen America.
Is that actually supposed to be Gwen Stacy?
Yes, considering that there's Captain Gwen America and the Mighty Avengers.
Yeah, someone's just fucking around.
That better be fan art.
I don't know if it is or not, but man.
Well, while we're at it, pull up the picture of Peggy Carter in her 1943 Captain America outfit. I want to see.
It's a variant cover.
That's fine. I don't care. I mean, it's just I'm telling you that Marvel has descended into self-parody. How do you know? Well, look at that cover. Okay. Number one, they made so many Gwens, it was just fucking ridiculous. And when I thought you guys were kidding with the Gwen Goblin, it turned out to be an actual thing. Yeah. Marvel has gone full retard or full
no, you were right.
Gwentard.
Gwentard. They've gone
That's nice. Gwentarded.
They've gone full Gwentard with we can't make up anything funnier than they make up themselves. That's the true example of self-parody. When you can't, the Onion can't outdo you.
Yeah, and what's funny, I completely agree. I was just about to say what Mustafa put in chat. They're doing this unironically. They actually think
that's the problem.
Funny and cute and intelligent and smart, and they're not. These are some of the dumbest comics I've ever read.
Yeah. So in any case, I was the thing that I can't get over with Captain America, I mean fighting American here, is the it's not the shield and it's not the belt and it's not the red, white, and blue. It's that he couldn't stop from going with the folded over swashbuckler boots and gloves. So he just kind of turns them into large pads. Man, why didn't you at least get rid of that aspect of Captain America's outfit?
Because he was in the process of getting sued.
Why? Okay. Here's the one criticism I've got of this drawing in particular. Okay, Liefeld, why do all of your men that are scowling look like burn victims? Where the fuck are his lips?
Well, yeah, I know. Look at this guy's lips down here, lack thereof. He just, it's just his style, I guess, but. This picture also grabbed my attention. When you see here's Cable from the front as drawn by Liefeld, right? And big shoulder pads are a mainstay of Liefeld's art style. whether it be Shatterstar or Cable or whoever. But when you see it from the side, that's when you realize how retarded they really are. Like, what's going on here? There's that much airspace. I had always just assumed that was filled in with padding because, you know, they're pads. So I mean, it's like if he like,
those are giant maxi pads.
Yes, that's exactly what I was saying. So if he is, if he like full board lineman crashes into somebody, you mean to tell me that they don't crash into his shoulder but push his belt down? Like he could end up pantsing himself.
Well, I want to know where those are anchored. You know, like especially if there's so much space there between like the actual underside of the pad and his shoulder. Like, what is anchoring those to hold them up at that kind of degree? And
that's his belt.
Is that bend under pressure?
Oh, you think like if they let go at the back, it'll be like and just straighten right out. I don't think you want your shoulder pads under extreme tension. If something goes wrong, you know, who knows what's going to happen.
Oh, Jim, that's a really good image too. Oh my God. The one he linked to us on Twitter here of Peggy Carter, Captain America. One thing I really kind of dig about this one too is check out the fact that she's got the collar and the tie.
Well, she's British, so
that's kind of cool.
And notice her stiff upper lip.
Yeah, that's
staring down.
If you have that kind of Peggy Carter, like I said, the 1943 Captain America is best Captain America. My very favorite outfit look of Captain America ever. And Peggy Carter is that, yeah. So
that's what I think is the best about Captain America is the fact that he's not full bone superhero. You know, he's like from the waist up superhero, from the waist down soldier.
Yep.
That's Agreed. What I like about it.
Yeah, and they maintained the shoulder straps either for, it's kind of unclear exactly why Captain America was wearing them. They look like parachute attachments or bandoliers. It's not exactly clear why he's wearing them, but they look purposeful is the point.
Hold his shield on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's his shield harness kind of thing.
Yeah, to strap his shield on his back.
Okay. And the same problem remains. I mean, Peggy, you're going to get yourself killed in the same way that Sam Wilson will get himself killed because you're not super soldiers. So I'm all for this, but like Peggy has like an association through Howard Stark and so on with the Super Soldier Project. Maybe she ended up getting limited time Super Soldier Serum or did take it, and now she has that kind of physique ability and so on. It's, to me, it's not about shouldn't ever be a woman. It's just don't make it stupid. I don't care if it's a woman, just don't make it stupid.
Yeah, don't make it dumb.
You know,
yeah.
Like just to make America Chavez be like, oh, she's going to take the place of Cap in this spot. Why, other than for cynical replacement theory reasons, would you be doing such a thing?
Because they hate
especially when you have Peggy Carter there in that America Chavez story, and all she does is lump endless praise and opportunity upon America Chavez for no clear reason whatsoever.
No, it's because they hate us. Marvel hates fans.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
That's the clear and obvious reason.
I think so at this point. Why else would they keep producing stuff nobody wants?
Well, I also have to agree with Frosted Glass. I'd be fine with Gwen if her powers were snapping and unsnapping her neck.
Well, there's that, yeah.
Jesus. Is that picture Jim Healis just tweeted it out, or did he send it to you?
Yes. Tweeted it out.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab that off Twitter later. I love that picture. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. Apparently it's some official art off of something from Marvel, something called Puzzle Quest. I have no idea what the hell that is.
What, a game?
Could be. It's probably a mobile game or something. I don't know. This is copyright 2016, so this is actually fairly old art.
Yeah. And then again, like, so is the movie, so they had a lot of time. I mean, 2012 or 2011 actually was the first Avenger.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great. I would say there's another one in this listing too. Oh my god.
So why were we talking about Rob Liefeld's Fighting American?
No reason at all. I was just making fun of how stupid it looks.
We were going to segue into something about Rob Liefeld.
No.
No, we're planning on doing that. We can put out a little teaser for people if we're actually gonna work on it. We were just gonna do a sort of retrospective on Liefeld, especially the influence he has and his art, because like there's a lot of people that criticize Liefeld for a number of things, which he's really criticizable. His art is while good, not the best. His writing kind of hackneyed, takes a little, some people really like it too. I mean, your boy Zach loves was it Captain X?
Major X.
Major X. So there's he definitely has this sort of lukewarm reception, and I think it might be interesting to delve into that a little bit. Give him praise where praise is due and criticism where criticism is due. So
yeah. It's something that happened out of a given tweet that somebody tweeted something at Rob Liefeld that made me laugh, and it made me think about character iterations and reinventions. And like Quiz said, we were talking about it before we went live, and I think we're going to do it as a separate edited video because we don't do a lot of those, and we need to get on it. Damn it, because we got some ideas and stuff.
Fuck yeah, we shit. I do edited videos every day.
Yeah, but that's on.
I've done 155 of them this year.
Oh, okay.
Actually, 180 something.
But nobody said you didn't, man. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So we're doing it for comic book curation. So
shit, man. I said link in the description at the beginning of the show, and it's down there. You can go. Fuck.
You're tearing us apart, Jack.
But you know what it did lead me to is like an older article that somebody had put up. They kind of made me laugh because we had talked about something similar to this, and I thought that maybe we had actually already covered this article a while back, but I don't think so. This is 10 worst X-Men costumes of all time.
Oh, jeez.
Over at this person, a place to hang your cape. And it's like, okay, that's the name of their little blog website.
Fairly.
No, whatever.
That's kind of clever, but
yeah. I mean, it's for all I know, it's a very LGBT site because they're like Finding Home, Volume 2 of the award-winning LGBT romance comic printed in a graphic novel. And it's like all pink and everything. And it's like discover new comics, attract new readers, gain new experience. It's like, is this like a LGBTQ plus place? If so, you managed to avoid coming across like that in this article. So well done. You want to attract female readers? Why talk about misogyny constantly? There's not really a reason to. You can do of course you can. Anybody can do a blog about comics for women or an entire website. Of course you can. And this article is a good example of doing it and not going full Gwentard with it. Looking at you, Mary Sue.
I think that now has to be new stream lore. We have to use Gwentard in replace of retard.
I'm down.
Yeah,
some of the pictures don't show up, but what kills me is like Beast gone swimming. It's like, so yeah, it's just a pair of trunks, practically underwear. That's it. Yeah, remember that when Beast was all blue and all he had on was a pair of they're just boxer shorts that have an X on them. That's it.
My favorite bit is that like his costume is just him wearing a Speedo. So him like putting on boxers is actually a dress up for him.
Yeah, I know you're talking about women's outfits being skimpy. The guy had Speedos on, man.
You should have a Beast thong.
Beast thong.
Oh, God. Nobody wants that. At least they never put him in one of those like singlet thongs.
Well,
the
when
man
Gene
thongs.
turns him gay too, then he'll have to wear something.
It's called a banana hammock, Polly.
He'll be like, guess what the X marks? And it's an X right on his butt.
He's not Iceman.
So they go with Wolverine whiskers here. It's like, oh, look at him with his itty bitty whiskers. He's adorable. Yep, that's how Wolverine arguably looked. And yeah, this is from his first appearance in the Incredible Hulk 180. This is the cover of it, that famous cover of it. Now, I have a question though. Let me just when they say picture a little bit bigger here. When they're talking about his whiskers, they're talking about these parts of his costume.
No, there's actual whiskers by his nose.
Yeah, if you look.
You mean just the lines that come down? Those are lines on his mask that were there.
Yeah, no, those are supposed to be whiskers, dude.
Yeah, because he's Wolverine.
Yeah.
Well, right. I don't. They're not standing off of his face. They're just lines on his mask.
Yeah,
I don't really have that
lines on his mask.
Yeah,
they're not actual like. He's not a kitty.
I don't think it's that big of a problem.
I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, I don't.
It's an old costume from the 70s. I thought it looked fine. I've seen way worse costumes from the 70s.
I do think it looks kind of dumb.
Yeah, I've seen dumber. Stilt Man.
You can
well,
Stilt Man.
Paste Pot Pete. Dumber costume.
You leave Paste Pot Pete out of this. I'm tired of you bringing him up. So
Dude looks like he's covered in spooge.
gross. Gross. So moving on to number 8 is that Jay Green miniskirt mayhem, and I love this. It's like old version, new version. Where are you pulling this from? This is from a video game, I'm assuming.
Are you gonna say it or am I gonna say it, Jack?
You go right ahead.
What?
Jay Green?
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
You so said Jay Green.
Oh fuck.
It's funnier because you didn't know he said it.
Polly, does this medication make you a little bit dyslexic?
I said at the beginning of the stream that I was not liable nor responsible for anything I say or do. Okay.
I love it. Don't ever feel judged, dude. It's great.
Jean Grey, miniskirt mayhem. Now, I just the old version, new version. I'm assuming it's from video games. Anyone in chat?
It
No,
looks
okay.
like from a video game, yeah.
It's like so. The only difference between the new version and the old version is her hair. I'm not seeing.
Yeah, she got a perm in the left one.
Yeah, and I say that's actually her costume, how it looked in the '60s for her being Miss. Well, no,
Marvel Girl.
Marvel Girl. That's it, Marvel Girl. And then this is when they've rebooted the X-Men countless times. They put her back in her costume from the 60s, like they put Storm back in her costume from the 70s.
Yeah. And which is what the author here goes into. Only in the 60s, a lot of people criticizing Jean Grey's costume tend to go for the animated series version or the Jim Lee version. Let's just call it what it is, which looked fucking awesome, gotta say. I never did like Storm's outfit, though. What?
Frosted Glass. I loved when Jay Green had knee fix force.
No, she has the Helix Force, so she's funky.
I almost thought that's what he was going to do. I'm like, no, what are you doing to me, Frosted?
Bronco Boaz, like, yeah, you got the good stuff. I got you got to make the cocktail. You got to be able to put together pseudoephedrine with Dramamine, and then you start getting the real fun times happening.
Yeah, he's got the lean on over there.
Well, it's either that or I wouldn't be here because of an unmanageable vertigo. So what are you going to do? Let's see. I've never really seen what was wrong with these outfits personally. Yeah, they're just extremely dated. That's all.
Yeah, it's like go-go boots. Come on.
Yeah. Hey, well, go-go boots are kind of Wonder Woman-esque and with the way they're pointed at the front. Not the same color scheme, obviously, but at least it gets away from the high heels on women that everyone complains about.
You know what? In like 40 years, that style will probably come back, and then people will be like, "Oh, it's so futuristic. They really predicted this shit." Because people are dumb.
Now, and it's like, and why does it look that way? I don't get it. Why is it pointy like her mask? I don't get it. Stylization is the answer. And finally, the skirt. Why? What's that, Jack?
So she could headbutt people and poke them in the eye.
Oh, you think those are sharp and metallic, huh?
Probably. I don't know.
She's the eye stabbers.
His mask.
Well, and what do you think that skirt would be useful going into battle? One gust of wind, and you're a Marilyn Monroe parody. Well, it is loose. It's not tight like the some of the other skirts are available out there. Now, one thing I did want to point out is because, like, I'm not going to let an opportunity to talk about this kind of shit go by. It's like when she was Marvel Girl, right? Which is X-Men writers never, except for Chris Claremont, seem to know what to do with poor Rachel Summers, one of my favorite mutant characters ever.
I think you mean Prestige.
Well, we're going to get into that in just a hot second. Because I'm not going to, so they're going to reintroduce Rachel Summers. Now, Rachel Gray. Right. Let's confuse the issue more.
Rachel Gray Summers.
Right. And then bring along Hope Summers because we need another psychic redhead member of the Gray family that has an affinity with the Phoenix Force because that was called for. Fucking hell, people. Anyway.
I think you mean like Gray Summers.
In any case, when they reintroduced Rachel Summers, she renamed herself Marvel Girl, and they put her in the skirt after her mom's original costume except of course midriff bearing skirt.
You could see the problems right here already, right? Like the femininity. Oh my God, that is such patriarchy at work.
Well, it was just bad. Like, I mean, you don't even need to go into, like, it's just bad. And then
there's an arrow pointing from her crotch to her boobies, and that cannot stand. Oh, I feel so woke that it's hurting right now.
And then they rearranged like her facial tattoos the lines coming out from the center of her face that were put there by Ahab, the mutant hunter from the dystopian alternate future that she's from. All of the mutant hounds had their faces tattooed in that way to mark them as hounds. Her facial tattoos disappear except for when she's using her Phoenix Force as kind of one of her identifying characteristics, features, whatever that Alan Davis came up with when he redesigned her look for Excalibur. Mm-hmm. They redesigned it to have, when she uses the Phoenix Force now, this little Phoenix icon appears over her eye. And it's like, it's not the...
She looks like Gem.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the worst idea ever, but it just makes me think of Gem. I get what you're kind of trying to do there, but like...
I don't know, guys. She doesn't seem truly outrageous. Truly outrageous.
The patriarchy is truly outrageous. And that's her.
It struck me as a lame Boro from Psylocke with the butterfly thing appearing over her face whenever she used her psychic powers, part of the Betsy Braddock aspect of her, that never went away, the psychic butterfly shape that would appear over her face. That's where I kind of see that coming from. And it's like, it's not the worst thing, but no, like you took away her very iconic identifying facial tattoos and went with this. And then even when you try and like sexify her up, you just make it clear why mini skirts in battle don't work.
I was going to bring up the fact that, these characters that are running around in mini skirts can fly.
Yes. And so there's upskirts aplenty, and it's
called distracting the enemy.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. And so this comic couldn't, this design was stupid, or I'm going to call myself Marvel Girl. And it's what? So you're just like a reiteration, like if Young Jean Grey was interesting, we'll just remake Rachel Summers as Young Jean Grey. And it's like, yeah, but then you eliminate everything interesting about the character of Rachel Summers. It's like, okay, so we won't do that. Here's what we'll do. We'll, no, not that one. We will go with,
no, not that one.
No, not that one. Here's that one. Rachel's. No. There she is in her prestige costume in the farthest to the left here. And
they kind of brought things back. I mean, they give her face tattoos. They give her some of the spikes.
Yeah, they bring back her facial tattoos, and there they are. Her original costume is, of course, the one you see on the far right, where this is her mutant hound outfit, and the idea of wearing that was, I'm not going to forget the future I came from. I'm not going to pretend that it didn't happen. That was her justification. Written.
Yeah, but there's no point in stealing Pinhead's fashion statements.
She got pins all over her head.
She's got his outfit.
Well, I think we can all agree that going from this to this is a bad move. From going from the mutant hunter outfit to Marvel Girl go-go dancer outfit is a terrible idea.
I really don't hate that costume as much as you do. I don't.
The Marvel Girl?
Yeah, one? It's not supposed to be practical. It's superheroes. But the one...
Yeah, but it's taking a character who's deadly serious and interesting and a rather broken person who's trying to find her place in the world and turning her into a go-go dancer. I have a hard time getting down with that.
I'll take go-go dancer over fighting the wage gap. It's all by degrees, dude. 10 years ago, it would have pissed me off a lot more. But nowadays, they've moved the Overton window so far...
that's
anymore.
That is a false dichotomy and a horrible set of choices you've offered. Because then she went, so she's Phoenix.
You're high enough to fall for it, though.
Whatever. There's Phoenix to Marvel Girl over to far left Prestige, where her outfit is now a combination between like a coat, which is also a cape, and it's callback. Hey, listen, you can do better. You know why? Because somebody on DeviantArt came up with this option, and it's like, yeah, why didn't you just go with this? Look, somebody on Like,
no, I like the Prestige outfit, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
no,
I have a
I
thing-
like this better than the Prestige
I
outfit.
like
have a-
this one better too.
I have a thing though for someone wearing like a leather coat over their superhero costumes. I mean, my favorite character is Gambit. Come on, and then my favorite other character in that run was Rogue. Noticing a theme here?
Yeah, but that was no short. Okay, first of all, it's not Remy's long coat. Him trying to do the hipster cool guy thing. It's split in layers, and then
I
it's
think
got
that's
these
kind of
spike.
cool.
It's got
It's
these
supposed to look
spiky
like
shoulders,
wings.
and
It looks smelly.
I don't think so. I think it looks actually kind of cool. I think of all three of those costumes, I like the Prestige one the most.
I like the Prestige one to a point, but it looks too leathery. And if you've ever known a girl that wears leather for a long period of time, it gets really sweaty in there.
Oh yeah, it can get
And
pretty
all the
stinky.
fun bits stink. And I don't want to be thinking about, man, I bet her crotch stinks the whole time I'm reading the comic book.
wait a minute. So what do you think about like the head to toe, neck to toe leather outfit? That had
Yeah,
this-
right.
Well, I never liked that costume at all because I always thought she looked like Pinhead.
So you pretty much hate one of the awesomest mutant characters of all time, is what you're saying.
No, I like the character. I just don't like her outfit.
Well, there's just no pleasing you guys. Fuck.
No, like I said before, I've got a thing for the whole coat over the superhero outfit, and then also I think that the was it fringes or frock that they've cut into the coat make it look like if she were to say dramatically flare open her coat when she's pulling her arms out to the side to use some sort of psychic force, it would make the coat flare out like wings. I think that would actually look kind of cool. Just saying.
Ramen Noodle says Rachel Gray went crazy in an arc of X-Men Gold. Don't talk to me about X-Men Gold, Ramen. I paid good money for that issue. Like I was willing to still have it in my pull list, and I bought it for that series rather, not issue. I bought it for a while, but then I had to give up on it because it had Nightcrawler, who I'm a big fan of. It had Rachel Gray in it, and it had Kitty Pryde. And I'm like, so this is the ultimate team. It's got 3 of the members of Excalibur in it. They go really well together. They've got a lore history together, and plus some of the other. This is gonna be cool. And I can see Kitty Pryde as a leader. They kind of put her in that role that she was trained by Professor Xavier for leadership. Okay. And the stories just went nowhere, and it was dumb. Yet again, Marvel writers don't know how to use Rachel Summers properly, and it's annoying.
Yeah. Well, she's a difficult character to work with to begin with, and they do not have good writers right now.
Yeah, no. I was gonna say the thing for all of her after her initial introduction was the fact that what exactly are they going to do with her, like because she was like a villain for a little bit, and then now she's stranded, and it's like I can see why it would be hard to write that character in. She seems like a niche character that only was supposed to be around for a little bit. But then again, I think Bishop is the same way too.
Yeah.
And I struggle with a way to figure out, to reconcile Bishop into the series too. So
what they should do is just take all these characters that were like time displaced and make them X-Men Time Force, put them in their own fucking book, and stop letting idiots run it. Because that's the problem with having them in the main continuity books, is that they tend to be these weird outlier characters that nobody knows how to deal with. So just put them in their own book. Maybe call it Exiles or something.
Exiles. That's actually kind of cool.
Well, Jack, that would really work. They're time exiles. X-Iles. Yeah.
Well, there's already an Exiles title. That's what I was getting at.
They could spell it Exiles and put them on Muir Island. Get it? Isles. See?
Yeah.
That'll be the base for their time adventures. In any case.
I stand corrected. Hold on. I got to make an apology. I was wrong. BG, you're correct. They have no writers right now. Marvel only has activists.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Very true.
Sorry, Polly.
And they don't have writers at all or activists. They have contracted activists.
Yeah.
They're hired out. No one's on staff anymore. Number 7 is Dazzler in her disco outfit. It's just extremely outfit. Yeah. It's just extremely dated. But it's like, hello, Olivia Newton-John. Yeah.
I liked her one in the 80s where she had the one piece with the What's that? A bomber jacket.
Emma Frost, number 6. Yeah, you're gonna. I mean, Emma Frost.
I think that's a great costume. What are you talking about?
How is she holding her drawers up?
Well, there's a lot of two-sided tape at work here, is what I'm saying. It's like, oh, come on. First Starfire, now Emma Frost. When it comes to super outfits, ladies, less is not more. Less is less. Less is borderline inappropriate. And it's like, this is borderline? Okay. She was teaching at a school where she was wearing this. Imagine how male students would have reacted.
I would have been paying attention every day.
Like, how do you teach male students that are all like teenagers? You know,
can we go over that physics lesson again about bouncing?
This is just, yeah, but that's Emma Frost, man. That's how she rolls.
She knows what you're thinking too.
Going on to the next one. Like I said, some of the pictures are missing, but that's okay. Cable, the curse of Liefeld. Yeah, we already made fun of Cable, and we're going to touch on that. Jubilee. Is this really a 90s explosion? I never really understood the
hatred for it.
The fireman's cape.
I'm okay with it.
No, it was a joke to make fun of Robin from Batman and Robin.
Really?
Yeah.
The reason why it's yellow.
Yeah, Tim Drake had the yellow cape.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or Robin did anyway, and then they kind of just forgot about it and left.
I always thought it was a raincoat, like a big rubber raincoat.
Well, it kind of is, because she, even the writer here makes this point. And I remember that when Jubilee first showed up, this is what she was wearing. It's just her street clothes. The only thing that her goggles are to protect her eyes when she uses her jubilation powers.
Yeah, her fireworks.
Yeah, that's it. Other than that, and I mean, this is pre-vampire Jubilee, so.
Why do you have to? You just twist the knife into my soul every time you say that.
That's right, chat. Jubilee became a vampire.
Was she a vampire
so
because
bad?
She had a clock in the sewer.
M-Day, whoever wrote M-Day, go fuck yourself with the longest, fucking girthiest, splinteriest, jagged pole that you can possibly fucking find. What a horrible idea for the X-Men. No more mutants. Go fuck yourself.
I think they did a good job of putting her in a costume that made, like, she was supposed to be what, like 13, 14. She was supposed to be really young when she joined up, right? I can see, like, it's an outfit. She's wearing shorts and boots and a long coat.
Well, that is very 90s, wearing shorts with boots.
Yeah, well, like I said, 90s explosion, according to the writer. And
she looks like she robbed a Salvation Army donation box.
Well, Magneto, when he was all purple, this is some highly stylized art, but that is actually how his costume looked. All purple with the giant M.
Terrible, right?
Yeah.
Well, his calves are a little bit big, but maybe
he looks like he has goat legs and no face.
Very anime eyes too. It's weirding me out.
Yeah, well, half of DeviantArt is all anime, so.
Jordan 250 has this Jubilee sparkle in the sun.
Nice, Jordan. Nice.
Yeah.
He's not vampire.
No, she doesn't, because she's a vampire, yes, but no longer a mutant. Like I said before, whoever wrote M-Day, go fuck yourself.
So Quiz doesn't like the purple M Magneto. All right. And Kitty Pride, take your pick. I'll take issue is what I'll take. Okay. This outfit was a joke. In the issue, she put it together as a joke because the whole point was, what am I going to wear? What am I going to wear as a costume? So she just threw together a bunch of things to piss people off. And thus you have what she's wearing here. But whatever. Yeah, she was Sprite or Ariel. I can't remember.
Well, Sprite was her second name, right? Or was that her first?
Sprite was her second name?
I think Sprite was her first name, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Sprite was first, Ariel was next, and then Shadowcat.
Shadowcat, yeah.
And now this outfit, this is the Alan Davis, Chris Claremont era recreation of her as Shadowcat, meaning all of her ninja powers, well, ninja fighting skills, right? Her whole Japanese history with her and Wolverine is now part of her lore and everything, and her powers are worked into being part of like the whole ninja thing. Fuck off. I like it.
That's more of a swashbuckling top, but jazzercise bottom.
I'm okay with it.
I've never thought of it as swashbuckling, but it kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, like
Got a
It's-
big
pirate.
billowy blouse, yeah.
yeah.
And the
I like the
half is
I
like their jazzercise sweats, you know.
I like the collar on it. I like the little waistband tie that she has, and the mask. It's classic superhero-y. It's not like you can argue that it's not useful in a fight. I mean, there's nothing restrictive. Like she can do her things. Like it's cool.
Frosted glass, it wasn't Sprite, it was Mountain Dew.
And this outfit just honestly strikes me as dramatically uninspired. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah, but that's not even that
Remember when-
offensive. It's safe looking.
Remember when she
yeah,
wore the-
it's generic. It's
Yeah.
and like your mask doesn't connect, honey, right here. So what you glued these two things on your face? Come
Well, they're
on.
held together the same way that Emma Frost boob guards were.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, remember when she wore the standard X-Men uniform, the one that everyone wore?
Yeah, the black and yellow or gold, I guess it was technically, with
Yeah.
the mask. Yeah.
Let's see, let me find it. There. I was say you already put one up for a picture of that costume up for one of your sexy ones, Polly. But it would be this
Wow, when she was Coyote Ugly Bar Whore.
no. It was this one.
Yeah.
That's the standard X-Men outfit.
Yeah, I like that one on her. That looks fun.
There was a period in the 80s where literally every X-Men wore this
Yeah.
costume.
Yeah. And
Including, Cyclops, including Gambit, like everyone.
she had one before that with a mask, which it was basically the same thing, just with a mask.
Mhm.
And that the first time they encountered the Brood, it's on the cover. But
Yeah.
Lockheed should have a costume
Yes.
because he is just as much part of the team.
Yeah.
You don't need a costume. That'd be like when people put coats on their dog. I mean,
Yes. And that's exactly, she looks like the type of person that would do that because she's young and he's a fuzzy little buddy. So
he's not fuzzy, he's leathery.
You don't
Nothing Jack is saying right now is wrong, Polly, and you know it.
Well, okay. I just for the clarity, if you guys remember when they made Kitty Pryde up into her bar whore outfit, like what the fuck is this?
That's Lockheed's look of disappointment.
Yeah. He's looking at her like, what are you wearing? And I
Like a whore.
You're not going out of this house until you change, young lady.
and she literally did work in a bar, and that's why she dressed like this. But she also ran around fighting crime and Ultimate X-Men wearing this, and that's why I made it like the thumbnail because it's an attempt to be sexy, but it's like this is just
Trash.
yeah. And how do you like that leather jacket there, Quiz? Does that work well?
I like it.
Well, see, what this tells me is that, well, Marvel maybe hates the Jews.
Yeah, they keep doing this to the Jewish character. Why? And then there's the David Finch classic X-Men outfit. And yeah, she looks great in that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, that costume looks fine.
Yeah. the costumes, man. So anyway, going on back to number 1, because Kitty Pryde was number 2. Leaves us with that's right. This article was written in honor of X-Men Days of Future Past was just about to come out. This was an older article, and they said, I don't know because the film hasn't come out yet, but Quicksilver is going to be the worst costume. Because remember him from the X-Men films, the way they had Quicksilver done out? He just had like a silvery suit and goggles and silver hair. And apparently she thought that was assuming this is a she thought that was the worst one ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sauthor's dumb. Not wrong. I just find them annoying.
I thought it was a good list. I thought they did a pretty good job.
No, I didn't see Jack of Hearts on there. He had a terrible costume.
He was in an X-Men.
So?
It was a list of worst X-Men costumes.
So?
Okay, you want to talk about terrible? Like actually terrible? I came across this by accident. I'm just throwing it in for no reason. God damn it.
Yep.
Like why? What is
he looks
because
like he has sinister eyes there. Man, that's piercing.
And it's just again, why? Why is this a variant cover for Youngblood number 8? Change you can believe in at the bottom. Because we like Barack Obama. But what has he got to do with the story? Just shut up. We really like him. This This is bad.
This looks like Russian interference. We should investigate it for 5 years.
It's like, but also a much coveted variant. Was it really coveted? Really? Outside of Manhattan and Los Angeles? Really? Was it by people who didn't read comics? They just wanted this because, moment in history bullshit. The much coveted variant featuring our nation's 44th president. Like, oh God. You know what? I don't need. This is just embarrassing for you.
What do they do on the Trump cover?
I'm amazed that they haven't done, where he's got horns and every other damn thing. Like, how many embarrassing things are you fucking people going to do when it relates to
it's
politics?
It's so valuable. You could buy it for $4 on eBay right now.
Right. Coveted as hell. Okay. Yeah. So what do we talk about? Something that's going to piss off Quiz, or do we talk about something that's going to piss off Quiz?
Oh, I say we piss off Quiz.
Yeah. So do we piss him off in a classic way or in a brand new, fun Mary Sue kind of way?
Oh, let's start with classic and then transition into the new way.
We don't want to upset the Quiz let me entreat you so that you don't piss me off too much. How about Rachel Summers? Rachel Summers in the swimsuit special from Marvel.
She looks like Vampirella.
What's wrong with that? She's wearing a swimsuit. What's the big deal?
No, I'm just saying. You don't want to piss me off too much.
Why would
yes, piss off Quiz.
Let's irritate his dyspepsia.
Entertain us. We will, Jacob. Buckle in.
Okay, so we'll go for classic annoyance for Quiz first. Here we go.
I'm looking through the swimsuit special to see if I can find a picture of Kitty with Lockheed, and I did. Here's
let's see
here's one with Kitty Pryde and Lockheed.
Oh, he looks happy to be there.
Yeah, right.
Is she wearing like a 1950s swimming cap?
No, it's a baseball cap.
Oh, okay.
That's the brim is over her, massive overhang of
hair. Man, that takes me back to when they introduced new team members, Charisse in the bottom right hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love the Stimpy floater down there.
Yeah. I mean, this is when
Nightcrawler playing volleyball with himself.
When Excalibur was super cool, and Captain America wasn't a Muslim female, or Captain Britain wasn't a Muslim female,
mm-hmm.
And Rachel Summers still had her like 90s. What do you?
A
mullet haircut, or 90s mullet haircut.
I thought the monkey is embarrassed looking at her ass. Calling you out, monkey.
Yeah, Excalibur was pretty cool for a while, and then they went and fucked it up and reinvigorated it, but calling it Excalibur, but it has none of the same members. It's just got something to do with Britain, therefore Excalibur. It was just weak. That's what happens when you have no Chris Claremont or Alan Davis. The two co-creators of it. It's just,
two white men.
Well, yeah. I mean, who needs that, right? Okay, so Quiz's dyspepsia we were talking about here. DC Comics, and it's in DC too, reveals its first look at Frank Miller and John Romita Jr.'s Superman Year One. Is he going to call Jimmy Olsen a retard and dance? Let's find out. I told you, he stopped drinking. Look at all his productivity now. He's doing Superman Year One. Everybody but Quiz is happy.
Yeah.
And I like John Romita Jr. personally. I like his art style. DC Comics revealed its first look at Frank Miller and John Romita's Jr. upcoming Black Label book, Superman Year One. Not only did they reveal the first look, but both Frank Miller and John Jr. or Romita Jr. discussed the upcoming project in DC Comics. Miller revealed a brief synopsis about the book. This is baby Kal-El's odyssey from planet Krypton to planet Earth, from a strange little boy to Superman. It's a hero journey wherein a boy discovers his powers and, more importantly, his destiny. Well, that's very bland, Frank. Oh, yeah, there's some Miller art. He would add, Superman arrives. Nothing will be the same.
It's a black label too, so yeah, I think we're gonna have some Gwen Tard stuff in there too. Just saying.
Romita Jr. would elaborate on the story. It's a different take on the origin and growing up as Superman. It's really peeling away the layers of the character, aging from an infant to a young adult, and then finally an adult. Okay, that's usually how that works. The periods of time that we are covering haven't really been covered before, other than maybe tiny vignettes, and this really investigates deeply in each of those moments of his life. It applies to the problems of being an alien in Kansas amongst regular children, and now he has to deal with it. It's a deep, deep examination of growing up of a super alien living on planet Earth. Oh, yeah.
Melts that guy's face off.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the
Romita Jr. would
I don't remember John dying like that, but okay.
Romita Jr. would detail that he included a number of his own experiences into the story. I kind of brought some of the things that I experienced, playing football, running into bullies, and dealing with crushes as an adolescent. I try to do all that because these are areas that you can print, that you can't print out to use as reference.
So here's the thing, though. Reading all or hearing about this, okay, and about the fact that it's going to be after Clark, manages to get to Earth, and I'm guessing it's going to be the story of his childhood, how he grows up and becomes Superman. I'm going to be comparing this to Max Landis's American Alien, and I'm going to find it wanting. I think Max Landis did a brilliant job with that, and John Romita Jr.'s art style, I don't think will match any of the 7 artists that Max Landis got to draw American Alien. It just seems like this is Frank Miller rehashing a story that someone else has already done better.
Well, lots of people have done effectively Superboy comics over the decades, so it's not a new concept, but it's been done by a lot of people, and every time they reboot the universe, they do it.
No, you're right. And if you're going to go to somebody to do year one, you go to Frank Miller, who did Batman Year One and started the whole notion of doing year one at all. You go to the master. And Quiz likes Batman Year One.
I do. Batman Year One is okay. I like Green Arrow Year One better, and that one was done by Andy Diggle. But
well, here's the thing. So it's like people are asking, like, hasn't anybody seen Smallville? This is Smallville the comic. Ramen Noodles, Superman Year One, Smallville. Well, is it going to be about a bunch of whiny teenagers and uncommonly pretty girly airhead women worried about their interpersonal relationships while Clark bounces around between them? Like, if that's it, I highly doubt Frank Miller would write a comic like that. In case you can't tell, I wasn't a fan of Smallville. I don't give a fuck about Dawson's Creek with a superpowered alien in it. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, reading on.
Aha! I found it. I knew there was one.
Oh, okay.
In the swimsuit issue. I'm just gonna zoom in and down here. No. Where you get to see Shadowcat dressing up Lockheed in a little swimsuit.
What's wrong with her face? Oh my God, that looks horrible.
That's why Lockheed looks worried.
Jesus. Anyway, he also revealed that Clark Kent will join the Navy. Quote, and then Frank brought in Clark going into the Navy, and I was able to run with that as Clark goes to the SEALs. Frank even contracted the SEALs to take a look at this and gave their approval, which was so great. When they asked why he was excited about the project, Romita Jr. would detail about how massive the project is from its length to the paper it's printed on. First, working with Frank because he understands Miller is the man.
Wait, did he go to the Navy SEALs or did he go to the zoo and talk to some seals?
I don't remember him having that superpower.
Yeah, if you throw little fish at them, they'll give their approval all day long. They make that little sound and clap their fins together.
Well, they did capitalize SEALS, but then again, you're not supposed to capitalize each letter in seal because it's C airline. Never mind. It's getting a little nerdy. Anyway, first, working with Frank. He and I go way back, too long in the business. Second, working on possibly the most famous, iconic character in the business. And third, the size and scope of this 200-page story on super large paper. It's interesting. For a super large format, everything about this is large, including Frank Miller's ego. Just saying, I love the man, but it's true. Miller confirmed that the book ties into his Dark Knight universe. Fuck yes! It's gonna be weird and strange, as well as Batman Year One. It ties in with my Dark Knight universe and Batman Year One. Well, why didn't you just just reiterated it with the man's own quote? Miller described the story as his, quote, best with the very good material and incredible character. Romita Jr. added the story as a complete examination of Superman from birth. He also posted, I say this with humility and as a humble, shy person, but this is the best book you're ever going to read. I'm laughing because it's like, hold on, Superman and Frank Miller, and he's including it in the Dark Knight universe. So what's going to happen? He's a teenager, gets mad and rips a dog in half, like what? He's going to be like, Miller gets dark, man. Like, past what anyone would consider gritty into what some people might consider pathological. I don't know what the hell's he going to do, man. I'm a little worried now. Have you ever seen Sin City? I mean, holy fuck.
Unfortunately.
Sin City was brilliant.
I disagree.
It was neo-noir taken to an upteenth level. It was awesome. You just didn't understand
it. It was taken to a pretentious level.
It was hard-boiled as fuck.
It was pretentious as fuck.
No, pretentious how? What do you mean? Like, you could call it over the top. You could call it, like, exaggerated.
Self-important and retarded.
How is it self-important? I mean, those are, I get that everyone's not going to like Sin City, the comics, nor the movies. Mm-hmm. Cool. But those are just not applicable criticisms, man.
To me, they are.
How's it pretentious? And don't use a synonym for pretentious to explain it.
I find a lot of the things that he was trying to use with the tropes involved in noir, the neo-noir that you were putting it, is tired, predictable, wildly of outrage inducing for the sake of it. Which all of those things are the very definition of pretension.
I don't know.
Sorry. I find Sin City to be bad. There you go. Another unpopular opinion for y'all.
Well, yes. I mean, somebody said Sin City's boring. I can understand some people just like actually finding Sin City boring because they're not into the style of it, the look of it, etc. But I don't know. When I wake up midair, the pavement rises up and crashes into me. Like, I mean, just the writing of it is so delicious. It's so fun. Yeah, it's exaggerated on purpose. It's over the top, hard boiled. And I don't know. Is it that it sucks, or is it better said that no, I get what he's trying to do. I just can't. It's just not my style. I just don't like it. In any case, so Brother Voodoo is rumored to appear in the next Doctor Strange film. Do you guys know the character of Brother Voodoo?
Of course. Yes.
Oh, okay. You think he's going to have the same costume as in the comics?
I sincerely hope he does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be a bold move on Marvel's part.
It's a bold fashion choice.
It really is. And I could see a lot of people finding this problematic.
I don't know why. Other than it's...
I wonder about all the people that are going to be talking about like cultural appropriation without ever having actually, looked into West African voodoo at all.
Yeah, voodoo and hoodoo and the mixture of culture. Well, I mean, cultural appropriation, right? It's a mix on its own. Mm-hmm. Like if we're talking Louisiana, Gulf created
the French Creole.
Yeah, like
area. Yeah.
it's West African, it's Caribbean, it's Catholic, it's
knew it. I found
What?
another one.
another one. What?
Kitty Pryde with
Oh.
with Loki.
Oh my God, we are all over the place today.
In shorts with sunglasses. So Jackie isn't wrong about Kitty Pryde being one person to like dress up Lockheed.
Yeah, I remember this picture.
I don't know. Back to something of more substance. the man in the strange outfit over here with the alligator teeth around his neck.
I'm more bothered by his skunk stripe.
Yeah.
Especially because there's like stink lines coming off it in that image.
No, no, he's actually just appearing out of nowhere, and he's like, "I'm going." This is Stephen Strange over here, and he casts a spell to bring Brother Voodoo, and he's like, "I started to say that I wasn't dressed for the occasion, but I am now, thanks to you." He went poof, and it made him costume change.
Yeah, Brother Voodoo is a cool character, and as long as he looks like a voodoo priest, I don't really care beyond that.
No,
They don't make him a stereotype.
Yeah, I can see them actually doing somewhat stereotypical stuff, but actually, I don't know, I guess remaining a little bit more respectful to the character.
I am all over the idea of voodooism in comics and movies for the reasons we were just talking about here. It's impossible to coherently argue that there's any kind of appropriation going on because the thing itself is a mixture, and inseparably so.
Yeah, it's designed that way.
Yeah.
Like voodoo itself is.
It's a harmonization of a whole bunch of things, syncretization or whatever the word is, where they end up complementing each other. In any case, I would love, but that doesn't mean I'm not totally open to hearing Mary Sue and every other angry brigade on Twitter trying to make something out of it, because good luck.
You're screeching about it. Yeah,
well, those bitter cat ladies don't know anything about voodoo anyway, so.
Yeah, no, of course they don't. How about this for another swimsuit one there? You got Phoenix on Monster Island.
See, she's a smoking hot character. You can make her sexy. She's interesting because she's got this really dark background and this really kind of cynical worldview. She's all detached. She's super powered, but limits the kind of power. There's so many awesome things you can do with that character. What the fuck, X-Men writers? Come on.
Wow. It's hard to say that they've been good since Chris Claremont. So,
yeah.
Well, we were talking about cultural appropriation, and we still want to cause Quiz as much dyspepsia as possible. So we're going to move on to this article about Hawkeye in Avengers Endgame. Hawkeye's Ronin arc is a glaring, ugly issue in Avengers Endgame. A viral thread on Twitter has a lot of people talking about an issue we've had with Hawkeye's positioning in Avengers Endgame. Clint Barton, under the identity of Ronin, becomes a vigilante serial killer that we see primarily of people of color.
Dun, dun, dun.
You're right. And he not only suffers zero repercussions for these actions, but he is also one of the happiest endings of the whole superhero team. In April, we wrote about Natasha Romanoff's fridging. Jesus. She self-sacrificed. Jack, you've seen the movie. They fight.
I saw it. Hawkeye grabbed her and threw her off the cliff and was like, there you go, bitch. That's what you get. Not making me sandwiches.
Look, I mean, they literally fought over who was going to sacrifice themselves first, and he lost to her.
Oh, no. See, she didn't have a soul to give because she's a redhead.
I was going to say, did she not have a soul to give because she still has red in her ledger?
No,
oh my God, that was the dumbest line in that good movie.
I thought you didn't see that movie.
Avengers 1.
Yeah, I thought you didn't see Avengers.
No, you saw the first one, not the sequel.
First one. I saw the sequel. I saw Age of Ultron. I stopped after that.
Oh.
That's what I was talking about.
I didn't realize that you had...
Yeah.
Okay.
No, see, I've from most of the Marvel movies, from most of the MCU movies, I see the first two, but I'm usually let down by the second and don't go back for the third.
Okay, article. We're way off track.
Okay.
Yeah.
By all means, let me bring
The only one I
back
did,
up.
I think, is Iron Man. And it was because
Sure.
I really liked Avengers 1.
Okay. Let's keep in mind that this started with, because it's going to become important in a second, a viral thread on Twitter.
Oh, viral. That means 12 people liked it.
Yeah. Somebody got involved, right? It's like, so it all started with Kieran Robinson made a similar observation this week that got the internet talking. The whole thing. Like all the internet. Okay. A viral thread, and the whole internet is talking about this, chat.
Oh,
okay?
it was backing up the tubes. It was so popular.
Yes. Can we please talk about how everyone just kind of let Hawkeye get away with 5 years of being a serial killer? Like, I know he missed his kids, but he brutally butchered large groups of people as a form of stress relief. Okay, it's kind of a smart ass answer, and like, I don't really like whatever. Like, I don't really care. It just whatever.
It worked for Frank Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a typical fashion, Robinson not only received responses from people who agreed or disagree, but became a target of trolls.
No.
Yeah. These delightful folks, who must be fun at parties, insisted that we are pussies for pointing out the fact that Hawkeye decided.
Who's the one that wrote this article? Is Princess Weeks write this?
No, I think it was
Leishman?
Moron Stern. What's her name? Yeah, Kalia Hale Stern.
Kalia Hale Stern. I bet you're fun at parties, Kalia Hale Stern. How dare you use that terminology for someone else when you are clearly the like shining the dictionary definition of joyless shit pail.
Excuse me, but she is the most hilarious one at her book club. Where they have a couple of mimosas and maybe like an appletini, and they just all find her hysterical.
They only drink bad box wine now, Jack. We've been over this. Look, in typical internet fashion, and must be fun at parties, unlike my sour, pretentious ass, insisted that we are pussies for pointing out the fact that Hawkeye decided to turn himself into an unstoppable, lawless serial killer, or some might say, a ruthless vigilante. I added that last part in. And for suggesting that maybe the total lack of ramifications for his action isn't Endgame's best takeaway message. Nobody took that away but you. But, you know, we snowflakes can't handle the vicious slaughter without due process, etc., etc. What do you mean? You guys are the last people to talk about due process.
You're the last people to talk about fucking due process. You instantly fucking want execution with no trial or jury when someone even just has an accusation of any sort of malfeasance. Go fuck yourself, lady.
Excuse me, but no. See, there's this thing called Twitter court, and once you're convicted there, you are a criminal. That's just a fact.
So they go on to talk about it. He goes, also, to all the, quote, he's killing criminals, meaning those are the response, it's implied that he's mutilating them, and he's also arbitrarily deciding who gets to live isn't justice. He's murdering people. Sure, not good people, but still people.
Vigilante. That's what they do.
Yeah, he's, and he's operating clearly outside of the law and doesn't care anymore. Now, you could argue on the side of he doesn't suffer any consequences for his actions. Okay, right. But you could say that a lots of vigilantes, like Frank Castle, for example. Like, just saying. Yeah. I mean, how is Ronan any different than Frank Castle in that regard?
Well, remember, they absolutely have a problem with Frank Castle, too.
No, they got a problem with all white people declaring themselves as part of a death cult, remember?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about, we talked about that last week when some excuse me, some woke author described how white people had joined a death cult around Frank Castle, the Punisher. Anyway, this article goes on, and I just want to, okay, so the internet reacted, et cetera, et cetera. Who the fuck are we talking about? And I don't mean to bring any hate down on Kieran Robinson or anything like that, so don't tweet at the guy. There's no need to. But it's just, this tells you a lot about who this guy is. He has 194 followers.
Mm-hmm.
He's following 429. This is a small guy. He's just doing his own little thing, whatever, on Twitter. You know what I'm saying?
I have more followers on my regular account.
You know what it is?
I have more followers than this guy does. And it's not to beat on him. It's the fact that he was focused in on by Mary Sue to make a point. It's like, this had the internet talking. It went viral.
He has his pronouns in there.
No, but
What
let's look at his language and why they picked him. Writer, fan critic, comic book fan, bisexual, vegetarian ginger, LGBTQ, ally, and mental health advocate, he/him. Okay, this is why they picked this guy out. It's like let's find someone who's an ally, who's got the right think, and we'll create an article in and around this whole thing about as you're going to see, it turns into an argument about cultural appropriation as well, and they drag other Twitter people into it. This guy is nobody who jammed up the internet. This is a bunch of bullshit. That I don't know.
I have 2 less followers than that guy. Ouch, Polly. Ouch.
Well,
I'm with Bodacious T on this one. Middle finger emoji.
Okay, so it goes back and forth, but for them, like fighting his fight, like relitigating out the arguments that he had with other people online, right? And then it goes down, but then a certain individual by the name of Jason 10 gets involved. As an Asian American living in Japan, who's clearly woke, I was especially angry about it and the lack of criticism it's gotten in intersectional circles. I wrote about it at proasianvoice.com. Oh, my God.
Oh, but that's a joy to read.
No.
Okay. What kills me is that they start talking about it and it goes back and forth. He goes,
I kind of want to read that now because I saw something that had me a little concerned. In a world where green, say, is he bringing up Green Arrow?
Well, let's just go on with it for a second because he says this note that is, thank you. It's a relief whenever other people see how problematic that whole plot point was. Respect. Okay, hold on. This is what the person was responding to. This note that his victims are distinctly people of color, and that has bothered me since the first time I watched the film. If he's slaughtering white people, that's cool, but the fact that he's off in Japan killing Yakuza, and then he's killing drug cartels in Mexico, Central America. Those are the 2, I believe, references that are made. So those are distinctly people of color. He went after 2 highly powerful criminal organized gangs that couldn't be taken out by anyone else. So he went out and did it himself as a vigilante murderer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dude, this explains why everybody's okay with all the black on black crime in South Chicago.
And get this. He says this, evil, they're Yakuza, not the U.S. Republican Party.
Oh, God.
Are you fucking serious?
Frosted
Did you actually just write that?
Frosted Glass said, this one's for Pearl Harbor.
Get this. Since I'm seeing a number of people who quite don't get it, see what the clever bastard did here?
Quite.
It's the white people who don't get it. It's kind of exhausting to see your race predictively used as disposable. Media influences culture and back again, and not to mention, and the actor is a Shakespearean trained actor, and they don't like that he was killed off so quickly. That there's this famous actor, the Japanese actor who Hawkeye kills in that scene. And it's like, he's just using him as disposable. This article goes on to describe this as well. Clint's appropriation of the Ronin character. He culturally appropriates before he murders these people. The article actually fucking says this. Okay, cultural appropriation. Let's just look at that for a second and go down this identitarian rabbit hole and see how quickly it turns against people. Thank you, and it's a relief when other people see how problematic the whole point was. Respect.
R-E-S-P-E-C, because I don't know how to spell.
Respect. It's the way it's written on Twitter, because that's the way black folks talk.
The R-E-S-P-E-K.
Yeah, because they don't say respect. They say respect. And since I'm down, I write y'all and respect. Wait a minute. I thought you said that you were a Asian American living in Japan currently, and you're supposed to be woke on your words, intersectional levels, and problematic. But you don't have a problem culturally appropriating, number one, by saying respect or insinuating that that's the way all black folks talk, do you?
Aren't Asians white people now?
My point is that this guy's full of shit, and anybody could come after him for the intersectional arguments that he's making for stupid little shit that he points out.
I would love to see exactly how long it takes for anyone that would be any white person that would be saying this sort of stuff on Twitter to get banned, whereas this guy is doing things like the cool white and accusing all white people of being evil appropriators.
Yeah.
And he's probably verified.
Well, yeah, being white is the mark of Cain now. So,
like, notice, okay, in my opinion, there's a legitimate movie plot point, storyline conversation to be had. Like the way, like, friends will sit around and have drinks, whatever. We'll come on Comic Book Curation. We'll talk about things. Talked about like, the Captain America, Steve Rogers, and the time shifting lines. So it's like, damn, it wasn't satisfying the way Clint Barton, what happened to him. Like the guy was like, there was nothing, him talking about him being like this. He's Ronin, he's running around killing people. And then all of a sudden he's not, man, that was an abrupt end. And where's his comeuppance for that? That's a reasonable point. But this is Mary Sue. So what do? They go find two people on Twitter that echo their kind of opinions and then make a big deal out of it and turn the whole thing into cultural appropriation and race focused bullshit. And they barely talk about the thing about him not getting his comeuppance and not being satisfying in a storytelling aspect. And they got to make it about race every time.
And say it went viral with 47 likes.
Yes.
Chris Raygun could literally fart into his phone, have like voice recognition, fart on his phone, and get over 1,000.
It's a little mind blowing.
I'm just saying, like, I like Chris. Okay, I like his content, but that's the sort of attention that people who are actually popular on social media get. Those are the indicative of real, quote, viral numbers, not 84 likes. I'm looking at this Jason Tens dude fucking Twitter timeline. He's getting like 47 likes. That's not fucking viral. Mary Sue, I know it's way more likes than you guys get, okay? Way more. So it's like by virtue of exponent, it must be so popular compared to you. But then again, everything is more popular than you are, Mary Sue.
Hey, they're getting more likes than they have cats. And that is impressive. Not per the pound, but by physical numbers.
Yes, yeah.
Well, let's talk about canceling and restarting and rebooting and all the other fun things that make comics work. Marvel's Unstoppable Wasp will end with issue 10.
It will be rebooted in 2 months. Try again.
And try again is the right thing. Restarted twice in 1 fucking year.
Let's go for 3 next year.
Fucker.
Come on, Marvel.
Now, this is CBR, garbage tier, right? And they write at the behest and to befriend as many people in the industry as they can. They are access media all the way. They need access, so they write stuff that is very favorable. So they start off with, after being revived for a second volume by fan demand.
Both of them.
Right. The Unstoppable Wasp is ending its current volume with the 10th issue. That means there weren't, like, the fan demand, like you said, Jack, all 2 of them, because apparently it wasn't a widespread demand, and you just refuse to have this character fall off. We can make, like, look, we have Ant-Man and Wasp as a comic book. We can glom off of the success of the MCU by simply putting out these characters, and we want to promote the progressive characters, i.e. the Whammons. So they did this with the Wasp, even though the series brutally failed. We're going to start over number 1, because number 1s will always sell, right? Even though it failed, and we're going to pretend that it was because of fan demand, even though we're trying to do glom off of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, well, 10 months later, no one's buying it. It's not, no one's even ordering it through Diamond. They have to cancel it. They have no choice. But they get their shill media to write it up like, this whole sentence, it's self-contradictory. After being revived by fan demand, it's ending early. Wait, what?
Yeah, it was revived by fan demand, but fans were not too happy with the comic they got. So they didn't stick around.
That was a pretty weak attempt to make something that was a brutal second failure in a staggeringly short time sound like it was a good thing. I got nothing for that. And that was just a short little thing I want to talk about, but that's going to lead us right into Marvel Comics to cancel X-Men books and relaunch an entire new X-Men universe.
I was expecting them to do this a long time ago and call them something else that they could get around the whole Fox owning the license thing, you know, so that they could start making movie money. I mean, that's the only reason I could think of the reason why they were treating X-Men like, a pile of excrement for the past, I don't know, 2 decades.
Well, we'll see the kind of leadership that Jonathan Hickman is willing to put forth. When I say leadership, I mean editorial leadership, where there's some unified direction of where things are going, and All right. See you later, Rotten Corpse. Have a good time at work.
There's no unified direction. If there was, then they wouldn't have done M-Day.
Well, starting at some point this summer, if you're reading an X-Men title, you have to deal with the fact it's all going to be going away. Uncanny X-Men, Mr. and Mrs. X, the Age of X-Men books, gone. With the triumphant orgasm-inducing return of the Fantastic Four, Avengers, Infinity, Secret Wars, Architect, Jonathan Hickman.
That was a run-on and a terrible. Good Lord, Philip Pratt, you need an editor bad.
Yeah, this is bounding into comics, and the same criticism we always have from right, Quiz. It's like, you guys write good stories, but you just need a little bit more grammar editing and some copy editing.
I think that they can be biased too. I'm not going to say that they're not, but at the same time, they're definitely a lot more fair in their criticisms than someone like, say, the Mary Sue.
Oh my God, yes. That's why it's like, I'm not going to not point it out, because they tend to make those mistakes a lot. But at the same time, let's not pretend that it's not going on. And it's like, you got the whole Marvel universe here. And I don't like this drawing, because you have, is this Jean Grey over here? Okay, then so this is a separate Dark Phoenix over here. Well, if this is Dark Phoenix, Jean Grey, doesn't that mean this is like Rachel Summers?
It could be.
But this is the wrong costume.
You are overthinking it, Polly.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Why is Wolverine on there twice? You got Wolverine over by Domino, and then Weapon X down there next to.
Oh yeah, good point. And where's Old Man Logan?
They're standing on his corpse because he's dead.
In any case, Jonathan Hickman comes at the end of the current era of X-Men books, assuming you can consider this an era at all. Ouch. Since the dawn of the MCU/Fox comic book movie rivalry started, the X-Men have been somewhat on the outside looking in.
Yes, for a reason, because Marvel of old decided to sell it to Fox, and since they weren't making the movie money, they decided to absolutely shit all over the characters in the comics, and have been doing for the past 20 years. Go fuck yourself, Marvel.
No, they needed to sell off their licenses, or they would have went under. That was before they were owned by Disney. They needed money to come in. Yeah,
I understand that, but at the same time, after they've sold off the license to Fox, they're not making themselves movie money anymore, because now they're making, inordinately large sums of cash from fucking Iron Man and everything on. Okay. So what are they going to do with the comics that were still kind of popular back then? If they're not making movie money, their comics aren't going to make as much money as the movies. So they're going to, put those on the back burner at the very least, or at the very most, actively fuck up those comics to drive focus into Iron Man. That's exactly what they've been doing to the X-Men for 20 years. They've been fucking with them time and time again. Stop it!
Barely being utilized during the company's crossovers, like you said, Quiz, shouted Quiz, and spinning their wheels within their own inconsequential stories, the X-Men have been banished to the outskirts of Marvel Comics. However, to this day, they haven't admitted as much. Their biggest pop came by way of being nearly eradicated by a sudden deadly cloud of inhuman Terrigen mist. I missed that storyline. All while the characters of the same name reached to replace them as the dominant superpowered subspecies of Marvel Comics. Didn't work, but not for lack of trying.
Yeah, because they wanted to make movie money off of the Inhumans rather than the fucking X-Men.
Oh yeah, the House
Seriously,
of X storyline I wasn't a fan. In recent months, since the increased rumors of Disney's purchase of Fox began circulating, Marvel's merry band of mutants has been enjoying a baby resurgence. Many of the company's top talents stepped in to presumably fix and correct years of narratively pointless meandering. Time-generated duplicates were either sent home or outright done away with. Marquee figures such as Jean, Cyclops, and Wolverine returned to life, while others such as Jubilee, Gambit, and Rogue saw some much-needed character development. The usurping Inhumans, all in all, I love the Inhumans and their lore, but the X-Men they are not, all appeared to be all disappeared back into the background of the mythos, and the X-Men actually started doing something other than staving off extinction for the first time in what felt like years.
Saving off extinction, like House of M.
House of X was worse, man. Way worse.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, House of M was the whole thing with the asteroid M falling out of the sky and scattering the X-Men out to fucking San Francisco of all fucking places. But then you got House of X that, you know, did no more mutants. Again, well, I don't need to bring these things up. These things are self-evident, but this just proves my point about the fact that they've been fucking the X-Men for the past 20 years. This is the reason why I stopped reading Marvel. Because the only characters I ever gave a shit about were the X-Men, and they've been fucking them.
Well, okay. Meta Winter asks, Tarragon as in the Spice No, the Tarragon Mist. I like everybody else, including Quiz, have like stepped off from a lot of X-Men titles. I don't know what the hell that storyline is that they're referring to because I haven't been
I do.
Okay, shoot.
So the Tarragon Mist got scattered. What happened was somebody attacked the Inhumans. It was a really stupid storyline. And the mist became this roving cloud that was wandering the earth. Well, since the Inhumans worship it as something that gives them their powers, the X-Men were like, no, this is killing people. So they destroyed it. And that created a war with the Inhumans because they were destroying their religious mist.
So wait, if that's the case, then if they killed the Tarragon Mist, wouldn't that make Kamala Khan no longer a superhero?
No, once you've been exposed, you already get your powers.
Oh, fucking hell.
So people that have already been exposed to it, if they're an Inhuman, they'll get powers. If they're not Inhuman, they'll die.
Light bulb, Marvel. You want a free idea? Boom. Tarragon Mist. The people that are affected by it are no longer turned into stupid characters like Kamala Khan. They're turned back into mutants, and the very first thing that happens is the Tarragon Mist goes and like slides down Scarlet Witch's nose and throat, fucking chokes the life out of her, kills her instantly. Fuck Wanda. And then immediately afterwards, the mist just disperses all over the planet. It regains the X gene. Okay, it activates the X factor within humanity. Mutants are starting to be born again, and then the X-Men can kill the Mist, and then Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, loses her powers because she doesn't have Tarragon Mist anymore. Boom! Free idea, Marvel.
You have no idea how the Mist works at all.
I don't care. I don't care how it works.
Well, let's find out what Hickman plans to do.
The Tarragon Mist is poisonous to mutants.
That's fine. And it almost destroyed them, but apparently didn't. Moving on, it appeared that Marvel was building up to something big, and big it was, like Silver Surfer announcing the approach of Galactus. And all this was to clear the field for Hickman's new era of X-Men. And we're not just talking about a reboot here. Marvel and Hickman are raising the franchise, Thanos style, and beginning all over again. Okay. They are doing this starting with a 12-issue run of 2 books, House of X and Powers of X. Really? House of X is H-O-X? That sounds a lot like hoax. That's not good. The Hoax and Pox? These are terrible nicknames. Have you been reading Pox? No, it's such a hoax. This is terrible. Okay.
On my shelf next to my collection of STD.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start
both events.
Discovery with the House of X.
Oof, that's a bad harbinger of the future, man. Both event books will run 6 issues each and set the stage for a new status quo for the X-Men line. He's explained as much in an interview with comicbook.com. We want to be clear to the fans, to the stores, and just as importantly, to the creators who are going to be staffing these books in the future. We wanted the message to be very clear. This is a whole new era for the X-Men. This is what we're doing now. That sounds like editorial leadership to me. Okay.
If that is the case and they do something like reverse everything they've been doing for the past 2 decades, maybe I can get on board with that.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's interesting. Hickman would elaborate on his plans for House of X and Powers of X. One, House of X is a story about a pivotal month in the history of the X-Men where everything changes for mutants on Earth. And the other, Powers of X, is a story about the history of mutants in the Marvel Universe. It works as a series of reveals and revelations where each issue of Hoax and follows Pox. Oof. And vice versa. Makes you interpret the issue you had previously read. Boy, that sounds halfway interesting. And then, obnoxiously, at the end, they crash it together in a way that propels us forward into the new universe. You described your own story idea as obnoxious?
They're going to the new universe? Awesome. They can hang out with Cyforce.
Okay. He continued. If by sci-fi elements you mean some basic evolutionary biology, a little genetic hegemony, a lot of contact linguistics, or how mutants bend the Kardashev scale, then sure, I'll be doing all that stuff. Hickman then discussed the mutant metaphor. I'm not sure how to get away from doing a metaphor when you're writing about X books. I suppose that narratively, the problem nowadays is interpretation. This sounds kind of not SJWE. We are talking about a stand-in for marginalized groups, or the metaphor simply being a substitution for the word different or special, or the real modern complication, atomization. That's an interesting observation, where everything is segmented to such a degree that there are no stories which mean something to everyone, where the psychological expectation is something catered or personalized. I'm not seeing myself represented. Get it?
Mhm.
Okay, Hickman, these are interesting observations. He then addressed that Marvel plans to launch an entire new universe of X books following the conclusion of House of X and Powers of X. At the conclusion of our 12 weekly issues of Hoax and Pox, we'll be, I gotta stop saying that. We'll be launching an entire new universe of X books. Some will be traditional fare. Some carry on through ideas presented in Hoax and Pox. Something are completely new concepts. I personally will be writing the ongoing flagship X book. So he's asked a question. Hickman then discussed using the mutant metaphor. Do you think comicbooks.com, I should go look into that, asked him. So marginalized groups are like totally different, and these, race and diversity and stuff. And so virtue signal for us now. And it looks like he didn't.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yes,
Not.
I am. I am cautiously optimistic as well. I want to read Hoax and Pox.
No, this is how they get you, man. They lure you in with an issue 1 of a potential rebranding back to what they used to do, and then they just shit all over it.
He was offered a chance to virtue signal and didn't, and this sounds like the guy who's got the full reins of power here. This is a good sign.
Yeah, but that's what they want you to think. That's how they trick you. Next thing you know, they'll be handing you a pamphlet. So this is just like a little kid walking in the room, just learning to walk. He's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm cute," and you go to pick him up, and he's pooped himself. That's exactly what Marvel is.
So
It's
you
a
think that
diaper.
Anna Samanad is pulling his strings?
Yes, I do not give them any leeway anymore.
I did it on purpose.
You did it on purpose.
And of course. I couldn't not.
Yeah.
But I mean, she has a lot of editorial authority. But then again, Marvel used to run with the Spider-Man editor, the mutant editor, like absolutely broke stuff up that way. It sounds like they are going to having a mutant X editor who has a strong vision. Jack, when Jack first sent me this story from Bounding Into Comics on Twitter DMs, my reaction was, where is their editorial leadership? Relaunch, cancel, relaunch, cancel, relaunch, cancel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it seems like reading this article now that's exactly what this guy Hickman is kind of showing. Okay, like you, Quiz, I'm very cautiously, man has been burned multiple times, optimistic.
I refuse to give them any more optimism. They have shredded any last bit of respect I had for Marvel. They've shit the bed too many times. They don't care about their fans. I don't believe them when they say they're going to change and do something innovative, like, I don't know, plot, development, interesting stories. No, Marvel has just been a massive disappointment for almost 10 years now, and I'm sick of their shit. They haven't produced that many good books. They got, 130 titles out each month, and there's 1 or 2 that are passable, so it's the whole monkeys with typewriters things. I would like to believe this is going to be good. I would love to be able to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I've been burned too many times. I cannot do it anymore.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, and I would imagine that's not a very uncommon opinion either, unfortunately. they've burned a lot of goodwill of the fans. But let us move on to the article that represents the reason for the name for the stream before we go on to comic book pitches. I saved it to last because sense of justice in this one, you know. For those who don't know, Stan Lee was not doing very well in his later years. And he got really badly taken advantage of, apparently, by a number of people, including his former manager. And now he's facing charges for it.
Not sexually, you weirdos.
No, not sexually. Taking advantage of him financially and transferring like various legal authorities to him. Like I said, Stanley wasn't doing that well mentally. And it seems apparently like he was allegedly taken advantage of. But Kaya Morgan, whom Stanley once described as the only partner and business manager, has been charged with 5 counts of elder abuse against the late comic book legend. Reuters reports that the charges filed Friday in a Los Angeles Superior Court include false imprisonment, fraud, and forgery. Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Related to an incident that occurred in June of 2018. A warrant has been issued for this alleged cocksucker's arrest. That was the same month, according to a petition for a restraining order against Morgan, that the collector of a pop culture memorabilia moved the 95-year-old Lee from his home in the Hollywood Hills to an apartment for 3 days. It was during that time that Lee made a video declaring Morgan was his only partner and business manager, and that all of these others were making false claims. Within days, Lee petitioned for a restraining order, and Morgan was arrested on charges of filing a false police report. Morgan insisted last year that the accusations were a, quote, witch hunt orchestrated by Lee's daughter and an attorney, and denied any wrongdoing. I don't know, man. When you move a 95-year-old guy to an apartment and then get him to make a video telling the world that you're the man and everyone has to go through him to do any business dealings with you whatsoever, won't let his own daughter talk to him or any of his other business partners talk to him. They all got to go through you now. That doesn't sound good, man. That's a bad look if you weren't doing anything wrong.
Yeah. I say I think Stan Lee actually did have a troubled relationship with his daughter, or at least I remember that there were stories about that.
Yeah, it sounded like she was a real freeloader.
Yeah, but at the same time, with all of that, she's still family, and I think Stan Lee probably would have, helped out his daughter had the situation arisen. So that sort of thing was completely uncharacteristic of Stan Lee, and smacks of this guy, saying you need to do this because it's going to make us money, and you like money, don't you? And that money is going to be mine. I mean,
is this the dude that took a sample of his blood? And
yes,
yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah,
throw the book at him. He's a weirdo.
For medical examinations, supposedly, but it was really trying to sell his blood, that it was the legendary Stan Lee's blood. I mean, my God.
Yeah, it was used to autograph books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah, like deeply messed up.
And it's Jake's upset. Can you hear?
Yeah, I know, right?
And Ryan Walters says alleged cocksucker. I thought Paulie said it wasn't sexual. I've just been watching so much Nick Ricado, where he's like, he's going to talk about somebody and it's like, this is my opinion. He allegedly did these things. And it's like, the last thing I need is a bunch of people showing up and breaking down our microscopic channel here for false allegations that are as yet unproven. And it's like, hey, I'm not the one who caught a bunch of Los Angeles Superior Court charges for abusing a living legend.
Right.
Apparently, evidently.
Yet,
motherfucker. No, come on. I mean, this is just Meta Winter. That is Inquisitor, who has the dog, as well as the mysteriously close trains.
Yes.
If you hear some Asians shouting in the background, that's probably me.
But now is the point in the stream where we move on to comic book pitches. So who would like to go first? I went first last week, so I'm not doing it again. Jack, you're it.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I gotta open stuff then.
Quiz, you're it.
All right. Well, I'll put my swimsuit issue away here, but
God, are you still looking at it like that? It's been half an hour.
Yeah,
Fuck.
I'm just gonna.
Nah, I'm ready. Your stall tactics have worked, Quiz.
Okay.
All right, I am pitching Fallen World issue 1 from Valiant Comics.
Oh, Dan Abnett. Fuck
Yep.
yeah.
It's a Dan Abnett book, so I knew Quiz would be on board. Now, if you ever read Valiant in the 90s, there was a character called Rai, R-A-I. And this is him. They've reintroduced him. I'm not very familiar with a lot of the Valiant stuff, but I saw Dan Abnett's name on this and I was going to buy it.
Fuck yeah, man.
So apparently in the future, in the far future, everything was going great on this satellite. It's this giant city thing. It's New Japan. It's up in the sky, and everything was going great until this guy, Rai, showed up and decided to betray the system and tear it all down. Well, the computer that was running the place may have been a tyrannical overlord that micromanaged everybody's lives, but it was still paradise, and he ruined it. So the thing fell to, this is New Japan right here. Looks like a big penis head. And now everybody's struggling because the Earth wasn't in very good shape. But there's Bloodshot fighting dinosaurs. The computer program that ran the place was called Father, and it's not quite done yet. So it's trying to make a little comeback and get itself a body and recollect all its parts. And that's the premise of this story. And we got Gilad, the Eternal Warrior. This is the Geomancer, whose name I can't pronounce, so I'm not even trying.
Okay.
So it's got some pretty good art. I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, the art's pretty good.
Yeah,
Not gonna
and there's some really cool shots. It's got a real Japanese theme to the outfits, too. I mean, there's some religious fanatics, like these guys. And it just has, look at this shot. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I like the art, and I was digging the story. I don't know exactly if they did a storyline about him rebelling against the father in the space station, but that would be a cool story too. But this is kind of just picking up 2 years after the thing fell, and this computer is trying to reform itself. And he's struggling as a leader. It's got some really good dynamics. There's also a group called the Positronics, and they're like an artificial life form, like robots or androids technically, but they were the slave class, and they regard Rai as their liberator because when he destroyed the father program, they were freed. So the humans have issues with that, so you got class warfare, all this other stuff. It's a really intense story. I liked it quite a bit. I thought it was fun. So I wanted to pitch that and recommend it because I think this has potential to be good. And quite honestly, Valiant could use the sales.
Yeah. I'll get a name like Dan Abnett on it, and then, yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely a way to get me going.
They're rebooting a lot of their stuff right now, and they're actually getting some pretty big names on it. And I was shocked they could afford Dan Abnett. So I think they're actually kind of digging deep here and doing kind of a Hail Mary.
Well, I do know that Dan Abnett just recently put out his last of the Gaunt's Ghosts series. And because of that, I'm fairly certain riding pretty high on Games Workshop's money. So
Yeah. Well, they're also getting B. Clay Moore on Killers, which is a new Ninjak or Ninja K story with three different ninjas over the course of the years. So they're actually getting some. I don't like B. Clay Moore. I think he's a dirtbag, but he's a big name. So they're actually trying really hard to get some recognizable people. So the fact they got Dan Abnett on this sold me, and it turned out to be a fun story. So I wanted to recommend it to you guys.
I'll definitely be checking it out.
Cool.
Nice. All right, Quiz.
All right,
I want to see that. Yeah.
My pitch is written by Max Collins, penciler Terry Beatty, inker Dick Giordano, and it is Wild Dog.
Classic.
Really? Nice.
Yes.
I fucking love that book.
Yes, it was a great book. For those that don't know, this was only a 4-issue run. in the 80s, I believe, all about a vigilante in what's called the Quad Cities. It takes place within the DC universe, but also kind of not quite. They reference that there are other vigilantes, but none of them come to interact with Wild Dog. But the first issue sees a terrorist organization take a news team hostage, and the vigilante Wild Dog bursts in and guns everyone down. Essentially, think it's this conspiracy sort of story where four friends from college try to figure out which one of them is this, hockey masked vigilante that's running around murdering all of the bad people within these towns. In my opinion, quintessential DC story from the 80s. And Wild Dog has been reused several times since the 80s. Not really to very much effect. Like, he's been in a couple of issues here and there. But yeah, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with this. He's like the Punisher, but DC.
Huh.
Yeah, he was also in several Action Comics when they did Action Comics Weekly back in the late 80s.
Yes.
And there was a one-shot special called Wild Dog Special Number 1.
Yep, I have all 4 of those issues and the special.
Nice. Okay, I am just.
I was going deep cuts on this sort of thing. And I say the one thing I brought up, I said before about connecting it to Green Arrow. Wild Dog came into the Rebirth line for Green Arrow, but it wasn't Wild Dog. It was the Wild Dogs. It was a whole gang of them that were wearing the Wild Dog T-shirt. And they were vigilantes that were actually rivals of Green Arrow.
Wow.
Okay, I'm up and I am pitching Elektra Assassin, the 8-issue miniseries.
Another classic.
Yeah. That image, particularly the cover in number 1, has just been bandied about and used posters and pinup pages and stuff again and again. It's because I was doing a story on Frank Miller, I decided to aggravate Quiz by putting a Frank Miller comic to pitch. And because, it's fun. And Frank Miller is always awesome. So it's just like going to my Frank Miller collection and find something that I think is absolutely worth pitching. And Elektra Assassin is one of them. Yeah, Frank Miller did so much with the characters of Daredevil and Elektra. It's just unbelievable. This, however, is a much more, I don't know, Jack, impressionistic series. It's wild, man. It is different. It is painted, not drawn, by Bill Sienkiewicz, who used to be cool. And then he went full Gwentard. He's a big social job. Well, he did. There's no reason to pull punches. He went full Gwentard. He went full anti comicsgate. He hates comicsgate. He thinks that we're all a bunch of bigots, sexists, racists, you name it. Only the righteous Bill Sienkiewicz knows better. Back in the 80s, when he still had his head screwed on straight, and wasn't part of the online denouncement squad of virtue signaling, he was an incredible artist. This first comic, I brought up more than one, is very wild because it starts with Elektra in an insane asylum. She has lost her memory and she doesn't know how she got there. The only thing she can remember is that she is a killer. She is an assassin, and she had just recently assassinated somebody. But the whole point is she doesn't remember how or why or what brought her there. So it's all presented in this Sienkiewicz's wild impression style watercolor imagery painting. And it's, as you read through it, Frank Miller's writing is as good as it ever was. This was 1986 when Miller was like at the height of his narrative powers. He had just come off of Dark Knight Returns when he wrote this. So he was like hot to go to tell deep, weird, out there rated R stories. And this is one of them. This is all of her trying to put back in place what's real and what's not, what she remembers and what is fake. She seems to remember being molested by her father. That turns out to be an implanted memory that somebody wanted her to have, so she would be angry at her past and not want to look into it. Strange story, By the time it gets on to issue number 2, she realizes that she's being played, and another spectacular cover. I mean, look at that. It's just that's just gritty as fuck.
What bothers me most is he needs to trim his eyebrows.
Yes, he does, and a haircut, because apparently
Yeah.
his hair goes all the way up to here. Remember Epic Comics when that was a Marvel imprint, Jack?
Yeah, that was their adult imprint.
Yep.
Where everything was twice as expensive.
Yeah. And well, it was more pricey, but then, you kind of knew what you were getting if you were buying Epic. It's the, out of canon storylines, experimental storylines where people are doing different things in both art and so forth. All of that stuff happens in the first issue. I see Meta Winter there saying slow down, spoilers. Not really, because all the stuff about her being in the insane asylum is in the first issue of her trying to figure out why she's there and how she got there and who's working against her. To not spoil anything else, she finds out that her adversary in this is a character simply known as the Beast. And the Beast is wanting to bring about war, and I'm going to leave it at that, for specific reasons. Elektra ends up running afoul of S.H.I.E.L.D., and particularly one S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who ends up working against her. God, is it worth reading? It is a deep story, a classic. It's in-depth Miller in the way that it is, and not drawn at all, painted in a really original style. And you get to see Sienkiewicz at some of his best before he went total virtue signal crazy, seeing Nazis under his bed at night.
Gwentard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Orange Man bad,
Yeah, absolutely. And he's a huge hater of Donald Trump and thinks that everything can be understood through the lens of race and oppression and so on. He's unfortunately one of those guys who went down that path. He's a highly talented man, and it's too goddamn bad. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, Elektra Assassin is absolutely available as collected editions, multiple times reprinted. I strongly recommend it. It only runs 8 issues, so the collected series is a nice little graphic novel in and of itself, can be read that way. Yeah, so that's my pitch, Elektra Assassin.
So, hey, what's Matt Murdock looking at? Elektra. Yow, don't look too long, Matt. You could go blind.
Jesus.
Wow.
Put down the swimsuit issues quiz. Jesus. Oh, fuck. I thought there was only the one swimsuit issue. How many have they done?
There's tons.
Yeah,
Really?
they did a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And Quiz has them all.
Right? I also have the Street Fighter one and the Wildstorm one.
Oof. And Bodacious T is still friggin' drunk. Yeah, okay.
Good job.
Good, well done. And you managed to last out the whole stream. So there it is, another one in the can. Yeah, look forward to that edited video that we're doing. Guys, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, as I keep forgetting to tell people to like the stream at the beginning and then halfway through it. But then our audience is pretty awesome and tends to do that on their own anyway. But if you haven't already, we would really appreciate it. It helps with... I've looked into a bunch of algorithm stuff, and that's what gets it popping up in other people's recommends, is a lot of that in engagement in terms of likes. Also, that engagement in terms of, if you're listening in the future and you're so inclined, please leave a comment below. We definitely get a chance to read all of them and a chance to respond to almost all of them. So yeah, by all means, we look forward to hearing from you. Jack, Quiz, any final thoughts?
Yeah, found this awesome Indiegogo for a Psycho KO figure. I pitched it a while back for the comic book, and they're trying to raise money so they can make an action figure of him, and I really want one, so go back it.
All right. So you're shilling for other people so you can benefit from the result. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wouldn't you? Come on.
I'm honest about it, at least.
Fair enough. I will not put a link to that in the description, but if you're willing to go back, that Indiegogo, by all means do so. In any case, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.